What is up, everybody? Thank you for joining us at Candid Truth. We're going to talk about the truth. We're going to get candid with it. Sorry, I got a little bit of a throat issue going on here, so keep me in prayers. But I'm here with my beautiful wife and co-host, Aubrey. It's good to have you here, as you are here every time. It's our show. She's actually going to be talking about a crazy subject, the dark origins of androgyny. So... Somebody out there doesn't know what androgyny is. What would you say androgyny is?
It's being neither female or male, being neutral or non-binary.
Okay, I was going to say today we hear that term non-binary, fluid, all these things that are just pure confusion, Babylon. This is what the Bible said is going to happen in these days. It's going to be back to the days of Babylon when Babylon literally means confusion. And to me, I look at the world, I'm like, this is the most confusing state of the world I've ever seen in my own lifetime, where you don't know what gender you are. You're not allowed to say, if you say the wrong pronoun, you could be in trouble. Also, things like it's okay to mock Christianity, but not certain minority people groups. And there's just a lot of confusion in the world. But I'm interested to see what you have on this because, you know, I do believe that Satan, the god of this world, he's trying to depopulate the world. There's all these fake misinformation stuff that's out there, fake news, like that the world is overpopulated, and they show things like New York City and the crosswalks, and they show China and all these really compacted, like New York's small. I mean, you look on the map, it's tiny up there. We just flew to we flew to Bolivia, and we got to fly over some space over the world. And when you're flying over the United States, you see a lot of empty space. You know, I just went to Wyoming. We drove to Wyoming, and there's a lot of empty space out there. Overpopulation is a lie. It's not true. It's a propaganda to really introduce depopulation, introduce making abortion trendy, or maybe not trendy, but acceptable. Actually, yeah, trendy. I've seen a woman wearing a t-shirt that's like, I've had 5 abortions, and she was just like proud of it. You know, cutting your genitals off or mutilating your genitalia where you can't procreate, the LGBT lifestyle, making that trendy. All these things are agendas to depopulate, and saying things like climate change, overpopulation, all these things really kind of justify the reason to do that. But really, we know that Satan hates humanity. We're an image of God. He hates seeing us be the image of him. And he wants to pervert everything that God's ever made. God made sex, God made gender, God made man and women beautifully different to where they are perfectly compatible. They complete each other. You know, you can't repopulate the world. You can't populate the world without male and female together. Like man, if it was just man on the earth, he really couldn't populate, for one. And there's only so much he can do. You know, he's a hard worker. He's strong, but he doesn't have really the nurturing side and all these things that the woman does. I can't breastfeed a child. I can't give birth. And a woman can't do that without the man. So we really, together, we complete each other. We make this circle of life, and we can create life. And Satan wants to stop that. But, you know, that's what I know. That's what I think is happening with these trends and things like that. You know, I didn't deal with this stuff when I was in elementary school and middle school and even in high school. You know, there was some people that started to like come out as homosexual and stuff like that, but never like this gender identity stuff that we deal with now. And it's really propagated through the media to make it trendy. And it's just confusing. It's confusing a lot of people. And but you have done a lot of research, like she always does. She digs deep when it comes to finding out what is the root of all this stuff. What is the root of Rain Man, or what is the root of whatever, these different things, secret societies and all this stuff that's in our world today? Where did it originate from? And you actually got to the bottom of where the root of androgyny came from. It's not just a trend that we're dealing with today. this goes way back, and it actually has some spiritual connotations to it. So
Yes.
I'm interested to see what you have for us.
Yes. Well, good. Because you just introduced it pretty well. We're just going to walk ourselves straight through history, right from biblical times,
Awesome.
and see what happened. And because we think it's new, we think we're the ones dealing with things that got worse.
Yeah.
Like, oh my goodness, these days you can't even, say the right pronouns, and you're confused as to what someone is when you see them and all this stuff. But like you're saying, it's been there.
Nothing new under the sun.
Right.
The Bible says.
And we're going to see that. So let's just begin.
Awesome.
All right. So as I began to realize, this actually encompassed more than just androgyny, not choosing to be a gender. It actually encompassed LGBTQ plus whatever, all of the stuff. I forget how many they have now.
The ever-growing acronym.
Yes. And so I just had to put that on the first slide here. And let's just begin with Ishtar, also known as Istar, as I have it spelled there, or Inanna. She's from Mesopotamia and Samaria. So Mesopotamia would be more of, I guess, what you would call the Babylonian era. Maybe I'm wrong, but let's just read through this. It says, the Gala, which were Gala priests of Inanna or Ishtar, were a class of sacred priests dedicated to her, created by Enki. We're going to want to know who Enki is. He's very key in all of this. Created by Enki to perform heart-soothing laments. They sang myths in Emesal, a Sumerian dialect.
This says they sang hymns.
Hymns, they do. Yes, that's right. Good catch, actually. They sang hymns in Emesal, a Sumerian dialect used for female gods' speech. And their duties included presiding over rites, healing, divination, music, charity, and countering evil during eclipses, and were well respected in their communities.
Wow.
Sex with a Gala was considered lucky, symbolizing union with the goddess herself through transubstantiation. Now, please hold on to that too. I'm going to keep saying this when we come across key things that are going to keep popping up, and we're going to start creating or connecting the dots. You're going to start putting thread with a pin to another thread with a pin.
Okay.
And we're going to see all of it come to life. So, I told you to keep an eye out for Enki.
Thank you.
And transubstantiation is the next one that I just mentioned.
Now it said sex with a gala. What is a gala? Is it a person walking around?
It is. It is a true priest.
But they're looked at as gods or no? Just priests?
Just priests.
Okay.
Let's see here. They were respected figures, though, often embodying transgender identities. So that came straight from Transgender Identities in the Ancient Mediterranean, LGBTI.org.
Wow. So this isn't, a lot of people would think we're trying to make something out of nothing, or this is our own agenda or something. That's straight from LGBTI. Or LGBT, yeah.
Yeah.
So they're telling you the history. Mm-hmm. That's good.
Yeah. That's the kind of sources I'm going to show all the way through.
Yeah.
So
there's no bias.
Right.
Yeah.
All right. So their unique position, both revered and feared, stemmed from their ability to transcend conventional boundaries, embodying divine and demonic traits.
Wow. Demonic traits.
Yes. That comes from that paper there, Androgyny, the Pagan Sexual Ideal, which I actually suggest everyone go read. But that's all I'm going to say. It says some Gala were cisgender women or married with children. Others were transgender or non-binary, not limited to Inanna's cult. A notable example is a statuette from Mary. Interesting that they would mention Mary.
Mary with an I.
With an I. Dedicated to Inanna, named after Nanshi, male but depicting female features. So here we have Mary being brought into it. It already said that it was Inanna's cult.
Yeah.
And we're starting to see that there's proof that that was a male having female features.
Yeah.
Okay.
So this is already this transgender. Well, I'm already thinking. I don't know if you're gonna go there, probably, but like the Baphomet.
Mm.
You know,
No,
you
go
see
ahead and
those,
make your point.
yeah, you see those statues popping up everywhere, and it's an occult image, but it's a goat-headed being sitting in the lotus position with one arm up, one arm down, representing as above, so below. But it's got female breast and a phallic caduceus staff in its lap, so representing the male and the female. If that image right there could be enough to show you like this lifestyle or whatever is satanic.
I just smile because that's such a good point. It's going to be a part of all this.
Awesome.
Even though I didn't include it. So good job.
Good. Awesome.
Yep. All right. So then another comment on them is that the gala's reputation extended to same-sex activities, perhaps influenced by the literal meaning of their name, gala, which means, forgive me for saying so, but penis-anus.
That's insane because I was wondering what gala meant because I'm thinking of this event that all the celebrities go to called the Met Gala.
Right.
Do you bring that up?
No, but I was hoping you would explain or make that point as well.
Yeah, I don't. Well, at the Met Gala, all these celebrities who are the American idols of our world, they gather together, they're celebrated, everybody's taking pictures, and they are decked out. And ironically, the last one that I saw was this religious apparel, dressed like popes, which the Pope, his attire is Dagon. That hat he wears, that tall hat, just look up Pope Dagon, you'll see that hat is a fish head with its mouth open and the cape goes down. Dagon had a fish head on his head and the cape was the skin of the fish. And that's all the Pope is doing. But at the Met Gala, penis-anus gathering of these American idols who are dressed in this religious garb. This is the same thing that's been going on for all throughout history. Babylonian times. It's happening today.
Right.
Wow.
It's going to get a little more involved, of course. But yes.
Wow.
Okay. So, second sentence there. Over time, the roles of gala expanded to include men, either in training or newly castrated galateur. So, we see that castration becomes a part of this. Highlighting their diverse gender identities across Sumerian and Assyrian contexts. This comes straight from the queer story files of blogspot.com.
Wow. Another LGBTQ blog or something? Yeah.
It also says, in mythological accounts, Inanna is rescued from the underworld by two beings described as neither male nor female. Various classes of priests in Sumerian and Assyrian religion occupied alternative gender roles distinct from those of men and women. So those are actual pictures. The statues I have depicted right there are these priests. They're wearing skirts or dresses. They have full beard on the right there, short hair and I don't know, weird things in their hands. But those are these...
The two beings that were neither male nor female? That's them.
Yes,
they
and
look
these are the priests.
Somewhat like Bert and Ernie or something. I don't know. I question everything now, It's like I even found stuff that says that the Simpsons, the characters of the Simpsons, date back to some ancient Egyptian thing. They found hieroglyphs. What's interesting is that it's newly found. So it's not like Matt Groening, the creator of the Simpsons, saw these things and said, I should make a character based on that. He made the characters, and now recently Bart, Lisa, Marge have all been discovered. I mean, Marge has a green dress, blue hair, standing up, and they look identical, but it's just now recently discovered. So how does that happen? Does the Simpsons always predict everything? I believe Matt Groening, being a 33-degree Freemason, is getting knowledge from the spirit world, and he was inspired by the demon world to make these characters, and now it's coming out that these were Egyptian gods and things like that. we're being entertained by them. The Simpsons was like my favorite show of all time for a while.
Oh. Mm-hmm. Okay. So here's where we focus on Enki. His story comes alive a little bit. You mentioned the caduceus. It's all over there.
Yeah.
Of course, that became his symbol.
Mm-hmm.
He is the highest god of what's called the Anunnaki, and we're going to explore that further.
Yeah.
So just hold on to that nugget.
Okay.
But because he was known for the serpents, he actually has what's called, when you're a follower of him, a Brotherhood of the Serpent, which is Freemasonry.
Yeah. Wow. The Brotherhood of the Serpent.
Yes.
Wow.
And of course, we know right there, it's on there, the medical staff.
Yeah.
We have the DNA strands, double helix. We have the UN symbol.
Mm-hmm.
We have the serpent going up the spine of the chakras.
That's the Kundalini yoga.
Yep. We got all of it there. This has to do also with reptilians or astronaut gods. That's why on the very left of that picture, they have what looks like eagle or reptilian gods.
Okay. In the black and white image.
Yes, yeah. The black and white one. And interesting that there's like a tree going on in between those two reptiles.
Always a tree.
Always
Ever since back to the Garden of Eden.
Yes. And on the very right, that's also a tree. That's the Anunnaki tree of life. Sorry. And below that is the Kabbalah tree of life. And we have the Egyptian ones underneath that and the Babylonian one in the middle. But Enki is known for the streams of water of life. He's known as the god of creation, water, wisdom, craftsmanship, and mischief and magic.
Wow.
So this would be like saying that he is God the Father.
Mm.
And so, I guess stepping back one footstep, we are going to see, going back to the tree of life, that it was called in his story the Merry Tree.
The Merry Tree.
What does that sound like?
Merry Christmas tree.
Yeah.
We did touch on that a little bit in the previous episode, which was about Baal. Who is Baal? Or who is the Rain Man?
Yeah.
Which is Baal.
Mm-hmm.
Often brought up in rap and hip hop and just a lot of things. But you did touch on this tree aspect that we've seen all through history, these phallic symbols and sun worship and all this. And a lot of times people have this in their home at a certain time of the year. Mm-hmm. December 25th, which also is a date really significant in paganism for the birth of Nimrod. Mm-hmm. And so, yeah, it's very interesting. But I think it's all really a counterfeit of the Garden of Eden, the Tree of Knowledge. Mm-hmm. Satan keeps... Because we see it in all kinds of entertainment, too. We've analyzed anime and movies and cartoons and things like that. And a lot of them that have this Gnostic theme have this tree aspect, the tree of knowledge. Mm-hmm. And so I believe that's what it is anyway. It's a reference to the tree of knowledge. They call it the tree of life. Maybe it is the tree of life. Maybe it represents the tree of life because God is keeping us from getting to that tree. Mm. It says, lest we eat of that fruit and become immortal sinners. God doesn't want us to be in a world where, rapists and murderers and liars and thieves live on forever. Mm-hmm. The wages of sin is death, and the gift of God is everlasting life. And none of us will get that gift until we receive Christ, we repent of our sins, and Christ returns and gives us immortality. It says that we will put on immortality. Mm-hmm. And then those who keep the commandments of God will have the right to the tree of life, it says in Revelation. Right. But Satan wants to get to that tree. Mm-hmm. He wants to live forever. He wants others to believe that they can have access to that tree of life too. Right.
So we're going to expand on that a lot.
Awesome.
Because this is going to focus a lot on serpents somehow. But this is where the idea of a third gender came in with Enki. One that does not conform to being one gender or the other, but a neutral gender. So, going to this is how we know Enki's tree of life started being depicted Unfortunately, this is the probably the most occult and nasty depiction because this is how they do their rituals, which are in Kabbalah tree of life. And as you see with the blue lady, I'll just read what it says there, even though it's in Hebrew. It has the names given to us in English. It says Doth, the upper Eden, which is like her neck region. And then there's Yesod. It says the lower Eden, which is her womb.
Genitals.
Yes. And then when we go to the middle picture, that is actually in German, but it's all about the occult things there. And we see the elements first thing in the bubble. If you notice, though, there's the sun on the top. Everything relates to a part of the body. And then we have the circle below, which has the planets. It has certain statuses that I'm not going to get into. For one, it's really gross, and I don't want to talk about that. But two, let's look, if we can, at on the right, the very right-hand corner in the bottom of this picture. We have this image of, it's kind of like a horned god.
Okay,
or a horned.
You're talking about this one?
No.
Oh.
No, it's the middle image still.
Okay.
That says rebus on it, and rebus means male and female combined.
Okay.
That's really all I want people to know right here.
You can zoom in on that. Oops. How do you go back?
I won't
Okay.
be able to, unfortunately. But the image on the very right is very, very interesting. It has, at each stage, it actually has what this region is, what God in the Egyptian world you are worshiping. And then it's all written there with the demons that are involved, Lucifer, Baphomet, Beelzebub, the degrees related to Freemasonry.
It has those names on this?
Yes,
chart?
and it has the demons related, if I didn't say that already. And that you're working towards this point, it actually has right on there, it has on here somewhere the rebus, and it should be where this wolf head guy is. So this is actually the pentagram, if you notice all the symbols down below.
Yeah, the hexagram, 6 points.
Yep. These are different ways that they would show this for the male and the female, which is supposedly a chaos, order out of chaos, right?
Yeah.
The two becoming one to create this great union and enlightenment. So I know that's a lot. Just take it in, but that's really all I want to show with that. It's just really gross the way they're depicting it. And as we break down Enki and the Brotherhood of the Serpent, which was Freemasonry, remember that? This snake, or caduceus, is linked with Satan.
Of course.
Who may be identified with Ea or Enki. He was known by either name. In the religion of Satanism, which embodies hidden truths. Now, this comes from Confessions of an Illuminati, Volume 2. It says it's used as DNA, we already said that, a symbol for medical professionals as well. Since ancient Mesopotamia, the caduceus presented two serpents intertwined. It's supposed to be the central nervous system around a staff, the spinal column, with the wings, called the swan, on either side, or the two hemispheres of the brain, with the circle in the center representing the pineal gland, or the central sun and psychic center within. Now,
are you going to talk about the pineal gland?
A little.
Okay.
I think we should just recognize that it's called pineal or pineal.
Yeah.
Pine is going to come in.
Like a pine cone.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It also symbolizes the Kundalini energy. Second point there is the ancient Egyptian pharaohs were thought to be aliens or space travelers or wannabe travelers who built their pyramids for mythical purposes. These are connected to alleged pyramids on Mars and other astronomical bodies, possibly for navigation. So way back then, this Enki, Anunnaki story of him being this god, setting up this structure, it already includes pyramids. Strange.
Yeah.
The serpent. but travelers from space.
Yeah, because when you really think about it, I already mentioned this on another show. Like, I don't even buy into any of the space travel stuff. I don't believe we went to the moon or have a Mars remote control car driving around on Mars. But Lucifer is a being that fell from the heavens.
Mm-hmm.
So when you talk about like worshiping beings from other worlds and, you know, other planets or whatever out there, you're talking about demons.
Mm-hmm.
These are the beings that fell from the heavens, and you know they're bound to Earth, but they impersonate travelers from other worlds.
Yeah,
because they can't really leave here. I don't believe.
Mm-hmm.
I know in the book of Job, Satan presented himself to God in heaven,
Mm-hmm.
but I'm pretty sure at some point after that he has become bound to this earth. It says that he's the God of this world and all these things.
Right.
I don't think he can travel around anymore like that.
Right.
But he can, you know, he is called the Prince of the Power of the Air.
Mm-hmm.
It says that there will be signs and wonders in the heavens.
Mm-hmm.
It talks about miracle working demons and all these things in the skies. And so what they're doing, these fallen angels are creating a mythology about themselves.
Mm-hmm.
Nobody would worship demons or fallen angels even.
Mm-hmm.
Why would you worship an angel that fell, you know?
Right.
But if Satan can twist our understanding just a little bit, if he can just tweak, no, we're not fallen angels. We're not evil. We didn't fall from heaven. We are actually visitors from other worlds, and we're here to help you.
Mm-hmm.
We want to actually save your planet,
Mm-hmm.
is his lie
Mm-hmm.
that many people all through history have been falling for.
Yeah. I don't know. This just encompasses so much.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah, without further ado, let's
Yeah,
get back.
I got introduced into the Anunnaki stuff when I got sucked into the Ancient Aliens program on the History Channel.
Yeah. So it also says this ancient teaching was passed up through history through a variety of secret brotherhoods such as Rosicrucianism, Freemasonry, and the Illuminati.
Mm.
They're thought to still be around, probably doing something involving the Rothschilds,
Yeah.
the International Jewish Conspiracy, Freemasons, or lizard people walking about. So this is not my language or my quote here at all. It actually came from an occult source.
Mm.
It also says that snake symbolism can be found everywhere in the world. That's a fact.
Yeah,
we can.
Definitely.
But it indicates the influence of the brotherhood. I just want to say that over and over again because, and that's kind of what I'm doing. I'm just building a case,
Yeah.
point after point of these different sources or the same source actually showing credibility to that. All right. So it says, obviously, in the caduceus or staff of Hermes, so now it's actually known as the staff of Hermes.
That's what I've known it as.
Uh-huh. It's used as an emblem of physicians, but also in many other places, such as the RX on prescription bottles, which means Rex, which links to the Eye of Horus, which is a symbol of the Brotherhood of the Snake.
Wow. Wonder if there's any link to the T-Rex.
Yeah.
You hear that word Rex, you know, we always associate it with dinosaurs and stuff. Like in, I don't know, if there's a cartoon and somebody has a little pet dino, it's like, oh, it's Rex or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
So, I mean, yeah, there's so much occultism in our culture, you know, and we don't even know about it until you dig deep and find this stuff.
Yep. So it says this was originally the symbol for the Anunnaki Syrian creator god Ea or Enki. It was the chief of the magicians, the one who knows. So pay attention to the one who knows as well.
Okay.
And was infamous for being the serpent of the Garden of Eden, who created life forms in test tubes 500,000 years ago.
Wow.
With his half-sister, Nin Harsag, at the suggestion of his son Marduk, to create humans to be the workers for the gods. They seeded the tree of life, which bears pine cones.
Okay.
Which is a symbol of the royal Anunnaki family in Enki.
So this is what we've been talking about. This Gnostic idea that the serpent in the Garden of Eden actually created humans in test tubes, not from the dust of the earth and all that.
Yeah.
And this idea that the tree of life in the Garden of Eden was a pine tree.
That's right.
And so now we're starting to see, why do you why do you bring in the evergreen tree in your house during Christmas time when it
Mm-hmm.
relates to the birth of Nimrod
Mm-hmm.
and all these things?
Mm-hmm.
The evergreen tree, what I know about it is it's a symbol of sun worship because it never dies through the winter.
Mm-hmm.
You know, these people that worship the sun when when it's cold,
Mm-hmm.
they thought, oh, is the sun leaving us? Is it ever going to come back? But this green tree that's evergreen was a symbol of promise that the sun will return
Mm-hmm.
when all the other trees are dead.
Right.
But yeah, there's a lot of symbolism with that pine cone and it representing the pineal gland of the brain, the frontal lobe.
Mm-hmm.
This is what, you know, New Agers and everything, they want to open up their third eye and all this
Right.
stuff. I don't believe in that terminology, but I do believe that there's something to it. I mean, they've shown it. Scientists have seen it and stuff, that there's this part of your brain that looks like a skinned over eye or something, and it resembles a pine cone and all these things. And some people believe that fluoride in the water is calcifying that part of your brain, and that part of your brain is the discerning part, the frontal seat of your mind when you're looking at information and trying to recognize, is it true, and discernment and all these things. And so when you watch fast-paced entertainment and things like that, it shuts down the frontal lobe of your brain to where you're not discerning, what is this information I'm watching? It's mindless entertainment at that point. You're just, and that's what people tell you. You guys are digging too deep. This stuff, it's just mindless entertainment. It feels like that because your brain is shut off, but those messages are going past that. Now you're watching this entertainment, and whatever message is put in that piece of media is now bypassing your ability to discern and everything, and now you're just accepting it as like, well, this is, you know, that's why we see life imitates art. I believe life imitates art, not the other way around. People say art imitates life, but I think things that are, you know, if you could, I could present a script to Hollywood and it could be the best story ever, and they could say, okay, we like it, but they're not going to do it just like this. We like it, but we want you to change this, add this, put this type of character. We need some representation, this and that, right? There's an agenda. We must include these things, or you're not going to get the movie. And so the more that we see this stuff, the more we believe this is normal.
Right.
When you see two men together, your whole life, like, you know, kids growing up in this generation, or you see, oh, some people are male, some people are female, some people are non-binary. When that's all you've known your whole life, even if it's just on TV, that becomes the norm, and then life imitates the art.
Yes.
I don't know why I went on that rant, but
okay.
No, it was talking about the pineal gland and
right.
discernment and all this stuff, but that's what I believe that frontal lobe, pineal gland is about discernment. And that's why God wants us to have a sober mind. Do not drink alcohol and mess your mind up. You're not sober anymore. Don't smoke. Don't do all these things that intoxicate your mind, and watch this crap on TV that shuts the frontal lobe of your brain down, and you become like it. You know, I was setting a wicked thing before my eyes. We don't want to be transformed into those things, because you basically, you know, you are what you eat type thing. You are who you become. Who you have friends, you become like them, and it rubs off on you. And so we need to be careful about what we watch, and we need to have a sober mind.
Yeah, there's a lot to that, like you're unraveling. But someone who's probably asking the question, how does Enki connect to this androgyny thing again? He was the god who made supposedly these galas, these priests, to sing these hymns and these laments and do this kind of priesthood to Inanna.
Okay.
And I said, he's kind of, it's like saying that's God the Father in heaven. He's like the Almighty.
So he's the one that kind of blessed them into that position or something? Okay.
So it's really messed up. We're going to follow him through some pictures here. It says, Enki walks out of the water to the land, attended by his messenger Izamud. Now, if you look at the first circle, the very top, this is Izamud, who has two faces looking in opposite directions. So this is the first time we see duality. That's another name for when you are actually exhibiting both genders within one person.
Okay, the two-face. Huh?
Yes. And you'll see that many gods do this. This is where Walter Veith opened my eyes first thing to this, because every god, whether it's Baal, whether it's Marduk, whether it's Venus, Cupid, whatever, they all, eventually you can go and find that each of them has one face that is, I guess, normal, and the other that's not, and it's two-faced, meaning that one's supposedly female and one's male.
Wow.
So,
I didn't know that.
But this is where it started with Enki. And how it ties into Freemasonry, it actually has a picture here that says, it's on the very top right, Enki stands with the gods and the initiate. The water of life flowing into the laboratory glassware indicates alchemal circulation. So here we're getting straight into the occult alchemy involved here to create life. And they're all holding hands so that tree of life can come together. Down below, it shows these reptile beings handing the pine cone or water or liquid blood of life to the bioengineered humans, because humans are supposed to be known as hybrid species.
Yeah, created by the Anunnaki.
Yes. Now the very last image here, I kind of went in a circle. At the very bottom of the left corner, it says the creation of the first human is depicted here. That tree, the human sitting on the god's lap. You can usually see that the god is there because they have the horns on. It says laboratory vessels symbolize the bloodline and the tree of life. So there's proof, and even their drawings of all of this. So I knew and I wanted to know myself, what does the Anunnaki mean? Reading the term, this definition in yellow, it says the term Anunnaki refers to those who from heaven came to earth. All right, there should be bells going off already. And it often is translated as those who descend or princely offspring, often depicted as reptilians coming from space to find gold. Now, please latch on to the word gold. We're going to talk about gold a lot.
Okay.
And it's not necessarily the kind of gold you're thinking, but enlightened with mysterious or secret knowledge, they are the one who knows, or those who are enlightened masters. Now, enlightened masters, that's what I'm going to explain right now. We have ascended masters usually in yoga and Brahmanism and all these other gods. That's what they mean.
Yeah.
I mean, that's not all that they mean, but so you have Satan, basically what they're saying. You have the demons and Satan coming down, descending out of heaven, when they got kicked out of heaven, to earth. And now they're the ones who know. Now, know what? Evil.
Yeah. That's what I was going to say. You know, sometimes we've read a lot of the Bible. We know the stories and everything. And so we see something like this and the alarm bells go off. But maybe somebody out there doesn't know the stuff, as you know, these stories as much as we do. Which is why, you know, we see something like Kundalini Yoga and it's like, oh, you're inviting the serpent to your crown chakra. It's like, no, you don't want the serpent to go to your brain because we know who the serpent is. Yeah. But if you never heard the Bible at all, you might just be like, oh yeah, a serpent is wise and, you know, whatever. And I want to be like that. But when you talk about these beings that were reptilian-like that descended from the heavens with wisdom, that was the serpent in the garden. He was cast out of heaven to earth. In Eden, he said, eat this fruit and your eyes will be open. You'll be like God, knowing good and evil. And his lie, his deception is that God doesn't want you to, he's hiding something from you. He doesn't want you to know things. He doesn't want you to have knowledge. But really, God was trying to keep us from knowing evil. He didn't want to keep anything good from us, but he didn't want us to know about things like death and all the disgusting things that happen in this world. But once they ate of that tree, then we were introduced to all the evil and death and things in the world.
Right. So that should have meant a lot. Like you're saying, it might not, but it really had a lot there that was packed in just the definition. And that came from SumerianOrigins.com. So this is history. This is actually a history place. I don't know what you want to call it, but
history website of pagan origins and things.
Yep. So the next thing that it says here is the Anunnaki are chiefly mentioned in literary texts. Each member of the Anunnaki had his or her own individual cult.
Interesting.
Separate from the others. Similarly, no representation of the Anunnaki as a complete group have yet been discovered. Are the demons really going to show that their connections to one another very openly?
No, they have disguises.
They have to keep the deception going.
Yeah.
So yeah. Although a few depictions of the 2 or 3 individual members together have been identified, they were thought to possess extraordinary powers and were often envisioned as being of tremendous physical size.
Wow. Giants.
Yeah. Deities were almost always depicted wearing horned caps. We see the music artists, we see celebrities, we see all kinds of people when they come out on stage wearing horns.
Yeah.
People are drawing that. It is actually meant to mean that you are one of these gods of Anunnaki.
Wow.
You hold power of Enki, the almighty god, kind of.
Yeah.
But the pagan one flipped upside down as your god of power.
Wow. Yep.
It's just weird.
Yeah.
And you have the Vikings, right? You have the Vikings. You have Celtic horns, I guess.
Yeah. Well, I when I was in Wyoming, it was biker week or whatever, and these guys were riding around with those like Vikings. A bunch of them were wearing that.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know what we think, like, oh, it just looks cool or whatever, but that's how Satan does this to us. He uses deception on every level. God never uses deception or force. It's always love. It's always that still small voice knocking on the door of your heart. Please open the door so I can come in. But Satan is just like, oh, isn't this cool and trendy? And you should do this because you can be cool. You should wear horns on your head and become furries and all this stuff too.
Oh, wow. Okay. I'm going to package that a little bit.
Okay.
Because what I haven't mentioned until now is that Enki is also known as either half human and half fish or goat and half human.
Wow.
I don't know how they got the 2 random ones, but that's what he's known for.
That's like Pan.
Yes.
So Pan was or you're saying Inky was?
Uh-huh.
Okay. So Inky has different
ways in which he's depicted.
Yeah.
But we all know mostly that Baphomet or Satan or Lucifer, or however you want to put it, the devil is Baphomet.
Yeah.
And the horns, he's depicted as a goat. That's what you're doing. You're actually worshiping or venerating when you wear the horns or you draw yourself horns, whatever you want to say. You're kind of like, this is my God.
That is so popular right now too. Who was it? It's a friend of mine who's an art teacher in a college. And he says that everybody's right now, it's like a fad or whatever, that they draw these anime style people and they all often have horns. They're always adding horns on them.
Mm-hmm.
It's pretty messed up. Like, I went through my phase of drawing dark things, but it wasn't, I was purposely seeking like darkness, like Marilyn Manson, the occult, all that type of stuff.
Mm-hmm.
But now it's just like, it's trendy. This is what all the kids are doing. So they're parroting it,
Mm-hmm.
And for some reason, everybody has horns. This is such a dark generation.
Mm-hmm.
I was listening to somebody, I don't even remember who it was. It wasn't a Christian. It was a podcast. And they said, just stop being so rebellious. Like, they were talking about the whole, like, I think it was like the pronouns and everything. They're saying it's just rebellion in general. And I was like, this is interesting to hear from somebody that's not even a Christian. That we live in the age of rebellion in whatever way. Where it's just pure confusion and rebellious. And that's what the Bible talks about, the age of lawlessness. There's no laws, no laws of nature, no laws of physics, no laws of biology. You know, it's just whatever, anything goes, lawlessness. Wow.
Man. So we have a lot more still. I really did a thorough job on this.
Oh, yeah.
So just bear with me. So we didn't get to finish that last sentence there. Actually, start again with deities were almost always depicted wearing horned caps, consisting of up to 7 superimposed pairs of ox horns. Now, I'm sure that actually starts looking like a pentagram once you superimpose certain horns.
Yeah, right.
At least that's my guess. But the last sentence says, they were also sometimes depicted wearing clothes with elaborate decorative gold and silver ornaments sewed into them. That doesn't have too much significance to me yet. But the next paragraph says, the earliest known usage of the term Anunnaki came from inscriptions written during the reign of Gudea. At least that's how I'm going to say it. And the 3rd dynasty of Ur.
Ur is in the Bible.
Yes, we have Ur and the Chaldeans are also known as Babylonians.
Okay.
So then you think of Nimrod and the Tower of Babel and Babylon. Yeah. That's where your mind should go. Like that era, that time, that's the culture we're talking about. It was very evil.
Right. Yeah. That's when God had to scatter everybody because the people united as one, they all had one language, and the Bible says that they all have one language, and this they think to do, like this wicked thing, build this tower to heaven. And who knows whatever other things they were doing, but we are in a time like that again, where thanks to the internet and technology, all our languages are one. I mean, I get a message in an email or on a YouTube comment, it's not even in English. I can just simply tap the button that says translate, and there it is. There's no boundaries now with language. You can even, there's apps where you can talk into your phone and then it will repeat it in Chinese or whatever. You could just walk around the street and be like, hey, how you doing today? And they'll say in Chinese and then they say it back. So we're really going back to that day. Yes.
And very much so. We're going to see. So this guy, during the 3rd dynasty of Ur, Gudea, it says in his earliest text, the term is applied to the most powerful and important deities in the Sumerian pantheon, the descendants of the sky god An. This group of deities probably included the 7 gods who decree. Okay. An, Enlil, Enki, Ninhursag, Nana, Utu, and Inanna. So, all of a sudden, it lists all of them.
Yeah.
So here we have Anunnaki actually being admitted that it was a part of the Chaldean or Babylonian religion, basically.
Yeah.
In their inscriptions. It was one of their ancient texts. That's the point that is there. But when we follow through, it says, although certain deities are described as members of the Anunnaki, no complete list of the names of all the Anunnaki has survived. They are usually only referred to as a cohesive group in literary texts. Originally, the Anunnaki appear to have been heavenly deities with immense powers. In the poem, it's interesting that they have this. Please listen up. In the poem Enki and the World Order.
Wow. Enki is Satan, and Satan wants a new world order.
The Anunnaki do homage to Enki. So all of the other lesser gods of the Anunnaki pay homage to Enki. And they sing hymns of praise in his honor and take up their dwellings among the people of Sumer. So now all of a sudden you have them manifesting as humans among the people of Sumer.
Wow.
Which is also a biblical town.
Interesting.
Yeah.
We know in the Bible, it says that angels can appear as humans. I mean, oftentimes it even just says it like that. Like, we know that when Jesus ascended into the cloud after his death, he resurrected and he ascended into the clouds, and everybody was watching him. It says 2 men in white apparel appeared and said, what are you gazing at, or whatever. Those were angels, but it said 2 men. Oftentimes the Bible will just say 2 men. When two angels, and I believe it was Jesus. It doesn't say it because Jesus' name isn't mentioned in the Old Testament, but Abraham was approached by three men, and he was feeding them and everything, and they were talking about how Sodom and Gomorrah was going to be destroyed. And he started pleading with the Lord, it says, so I believe that was Jesus. But he was pleading, like, are you going to destroy the righteous with the wicked and all these things? Point is, angels appear as men.
Yep.
And I believe that works for good and bad angels, fallen and unfallen angels.
Yes.
I believe that Satan and his unfallen angels have the ability to shape shift. We know that he appeared as a serpent. We know that they appear as these alien beings. We know that he can appear as an angel of light. So the Bible does tell us that he has the ability to change form. And I believe he can appear as a human too.
Yes. So where were we? All right. The same composition twice states that the Anunnaki decree the fates of mankind. Now we just saw the 7 gods who decree. That's the connection there. So there's the 7 gods they just mentioned. They just tied that in the paragraphs above. Now all of a sudden it actually is those that decree the fates of mankind. In Egyptian Kemetic or Coptic religions or Egyptian Orthodoxy, the god Thoth, I hope they don't say it that way, and Anu are highly respected gods above others. This would seem to be Enki. Really.
Yeah.
Strange, though, that the Anunnaki are said to have become or materialized as the god Thoth during his reign, and become or influence the ruling monarchs and government officials as they take leadership in the world, so that their direction for the world is carried out.
Whoa. So these beings are interacting with the governments of the world. I believe that's happening right now. We've never lived in a time as we have now where there's actual meetings going on saying, yes, we've had communication with non-human intelligences. The military, the leaders of this world are telling us that they have been communicating for years, since the 30s, with non-human intelligence, beings from another dimension. You know, they even say, we don't want to say they're alien, we don't know what they are, that they could possibly be from another dimension. I believe they are from another dimension, and we are communicating with them. And when you read Revelation, it says that Satan is trying to round up the militaries of the world. It says 3 unclean spirits like frogs. Interesting description when you look at an alien gray. They look like a frog, but it says that they are going to the kings of the earth, which would be the leaders, military leaders and presidents and all these, and uniting the militaries of the world to fight Christ. I believe that's I believe that's what's happening. I believe that's why we have a space force. We're literally making weapons pointed towards the heavens, preparing to fight Christ. Everything what the Bible says is happening now. The militaries of the world are communicating with these demonic beings, fallen angels, in preparation to fight Christ.
Right.
And even they don't know what's going on. Some of them maybe, but I believe the majority of these leaders are deceived themselves into thinking that these alien beings are actually trying to help us, that they want to get rid of pandemics and climate change and all this, and ultimately they want to help us fight to save Earth from an evil alien invader that's coming.
Yeah.
And that evil alien invader is Christ with all of his angels. And so literally you have humanity siding with Satan and his demons to fight Christ, and it's all a huge deception. They believe that they're fighting to save the earth from destruction.
This means, though, just to wrap that up, that they would actually materialize themselves, or possess, if you will, every ruling monarch that comes on the scene.
Wow.
To accomplish what they want.
So you're saying that these fallen angels are actually appearing as men that are in high places in politics and everything?
Yeah.
I believe it. Yeah. I mean, I've seen some of these people that just look so wicked. These Rothschilds and the Popes.
Well, you don't have to be. I mean, demon possession is what I'm getting at. It's not like they are manifesting in host bodies or whatever.
Right.
That's not what I'm getting at. I'm not.
And they don't have to look ugly and scary either.
No.
They can look like Beyonce.
Right. But I just think that people in high places usually have opened themselves up to Satan and his demons heavily.
No.
We'll see some of that a little bit, but they usually have to carry out lots of these rituals that are in the cult world and work their way up the ladders of degrees, and all of that stuff.
You have to be involved in the occult,
Mm-hmm.
but the occult is in the guise of the Brotherhood of Freemasonry, and everybody just thinks, oh, whatever, it's Freemason.
Or the lodge, just boys club, whatever.
Yeah, Shriners, they do good for people. They give them wheelchairs and stuff.
So anyway, they really accomplished their goal. Oh no. All right, we got to get back to what
technical difficulties
we're on. Yeah. Okay, let's see if it will. Yes. Okay. So in the Kemetic faith, it just mentioned that, and I watched this. Huh?
I just said Kemetic. I was just reading that word.
Yes, Kemetic. They also have the Kabbalah tree of life there, but this is claimed to not be the Kabbalah, but the Egyptian tree of life.
Wow. Every culture has a tree of life.
Yes. And this woman, I was watching her YouTube video there. What is the purpose of life? I didn't really get to the purpose. I just wanted to see what she did. And what I realized is that she gave a drink offering, and she began to bless all the elements: wind, fire, air, spirit, whatever. And then she went into different gods: Anu, Anubis, all of these things. And Inanna, Diana, you know what I mean? You're just listening basically to pretty much, she's putting all of the different things together: Jupiter, Mars. So the planets, the gods, the elements. She's doing high witchcraft.
Yep.
And she's pouring out a libation, a drink offering every time she says this to Mother Earth, the universe, the men. You know what I mean?
Wow.
Everything that you could have said, she said.
Yeah. And that's really how Satan works. He has a different flavor for everybody. For me, I was interested in the occult, so the dark things, Ouija boards, tarot cards, all that, he's got that flavor. If you're not into that, I got New Age. Look at this. It's all light and love and colors and ascended masters. And then if you're not into that, then what about this? I've noticed that a lot of black people, like African Americans and stuff, they are kind of gravitating towards Egyptian.
Yes, and
like
this is
the
why.
Roots of it, like ancestor worship and all these type things, because of propaganda like the Black Panther movie and all those.
So this Kemetic faith claims that if you are black-skinned, you have this magic within you. It is inherent within you to have the power of the gods.
Yeah. Yep. And they call Christianity the white man religion, and it's not white at all. It originates from Israel. It's Israeli. It's not white, and true Israelis are dark skinned. I mean, they're really dark. That's a whole lie in itself, that Christianity is the white man's religion. But Satan has duped so many cultures.
Yes. So that, anyway, made me think that a lot of people haven't heard of what the Kemetic faith is.
I haven't.
So this is what it is, just so that others know. It's Kemeticism, or Egyptian neo-paganism. So get a load of that. Is a modern revival of ancient Egyptian religion characterized by its focus on nature, ethical living, and ancestral veneration. It seeks to restore the worship of a wide range of Egyptian gods and goddesses, emphasizing the interconnectedness of all living beings and the importance of harmonious relationships with nature, the universe, the Great Mother, and they claim to be the original yoga gurus who taught the Indians how, as Egypt came before India.
Oh, okay.
So they're saying we are the actual descendants of the Egyptians, and we are the ones who came up with yoga.
Yeah, Egyptians.
Yeah. So practitioners celebrate festivals, engage in rituals involving offerings, and use significant symbols like the Ankh, the Eye of Horus, and the Djed pillar, which represents life, protection, and stability. I'm guessing that's a phallic symbol, like an obelisk of some sort. Their religion incorporates reincarnation and an afterlife, aiming for spiritual enlightenment and unity with the divine. Divination, magic, and rituals, incantation, and ritualistic prayer play integral roles in daily practices, alongside sun worship and the veneration of elements such as the earth, wind, fire, and air. Hermeticism recognizes no gender boundaries. Here's where that comes in.
Yeah.
And maintains an open and inclusive approach to his teachings and practices. Now, I mentioned this because when I first learned about Hermeticism, I came across a YouTube video of a man dressed as a woman, an Egyptian goddess.
Okay.
He had a full beard and full Egyptian eye makeup and all of the bracelets and everything. And he called himself the goddess.
Wow.
And that's what I've actually going to refer to back on the slide here, is it says, as they ascend, they actually take on the title God or Goddess.
Wow. Yeah, I just want to kind of bring a reminder here what we're even talking about. We're not just like digging into the history of every occult god and all that. We're getting to the origins of androgyny, transgenderism, all these alternate lifestyles, and we're seeing it where there's no boundary of genders. And yeah, this is getting interesting.
Yeah. So as they progress in their spiritual knowledge, a formal priesthood exists within the community consisting of individuals who have undergone specific training, initiation to act as intermediaries between the gods and followers. Interesting. So that's their stance on gender, basically. You get to see that, and that's a definition for you. Let's not play that video. Okay, so as it gets deeper, in the cult of Inanna, it wasn't just the gala. We have other different ranks of transgenderism and androgyny going on.
Okay.
Let's look back at the slide.
Right.
It says, individuals associated with the cult of Inanna and her cult members and priests were known for their androgyny and blurring or destroying the gender binary. The gender-blurring members of her cult have often been included in poems and dedications written for her, often with Inanna personally transforming the gender of her devotees.
Wow.
One such example is the Pili Pili, a group of cultic performers in Inanna's Sumerian festivals. The name Pili Pili is referenced within the Passionate Inanna. It's some kind of scroll or poem or something. In relation to an individual named Pili Pili who is transformed by Inanna. They are raised as women when doing this, and the Sumerian for young woman, which is Kisikil, being used to describe them, and Inanna blesses them, handing them a spear as if she were a man, and renames them Pili Pili. From this point forward, they are referred to as the transformed Pili Pili. The Sumerians did not use gender pronouns, but one interpretation is that through the blessings of Inanna, the Pili Pili transitioned into a man. The phallic connotations of the word spear adds emphasis. So again, you can see where I got that.
Yep.
I have cited it straight from an academic source in the UK. It also says trans and non-binary individuals were not restricted solely to the cult of Inanna. So now we're going to expand on this. This isn't just Inanna.
Right.
We've actually seen that in our other examples, just a few of them. But one type of gala priestess, here we have a priestess.
Yeah, interesting.
Was the Kurgaru, a biological male who wore a robe that was...
Wait, a priestess, which was a male.
Yes. So I'm glad you said that because it's just as confusing as today.
Right.
Yeah. And he wore a robe that was feminine on one side and masculine on the other.
Okay.
The Kurgaru were highly esteemed in Babylonia. In one story of Inanna, the genderless Kurgaru were created in order to save Inanna from the underworld. However, even more prestigious were the Asinu. Okay, all of a sudden we have the Asinu too. Or the transsexual priestesses of Inanna.
Wow.
The Asinu underwent ritual castration as part of a mess or a divine calling of the goddess.
Ritual castration. That stood out to me.
So as part of your devotion to the goddess, called to worship and be a devotee of hers, you would do this. It says also, the Asinu were believed to have been imbued with great powers of protection and fortune. Warriors of ancient Mesopotamia would touch the head of an Asinu before battle, believing just this brief contact would spare them from danger. However, the most important role of the Asinu was that of a Herudul. I don't know if I said that right. Or sacred prostitute. The Asinu were believed to be the physical incarnation of the goddess Inanna.
Wow.
And by sleeping with an Asinu, a follower of Inanna, was essentially coupling with the goddess herself.
And that came from LGBTI.org.
Yes. So, let's break that down a little bit. I told you about transubstantiation.
Yeah, you mentioned.
They didn't use that word, but basically what they're saying is that the Asinu transubstantiate and become Inanna, and you have sex with them.
Yeah.
Here we go with pronouns.
Right.
And it's like you just had relations with the goddess herself.
Wow.
Transubstantiation in action.
So when I hear that term, substantiation, I think of the Catholic Church.
We're going to dive into that.
Okay.
Yeah.
But that word means that it's like a transformation of something from one thing to another, whether it's the cracker into the literal flesh of Christ. So they're saying that you have sex with this goddess and now you're, I don't know, somehow divine from doing it. What I think is interesting is ritual castration. 20 years ago, if somebody would have mentioned this, if they would have been going into a deep study and saying, you know, if you worship this god or goddess, followers of them would cut off their genitalia. Everybody would say that's insane. Who in their right mind would ever do that? I would never do that. 20 years later, we have people cutting off their genitals, and now they don't even realize they're doing a form of pagan ritual, but they're doing it because it's trendy and cool.
Yeah.
And then regretting it months and years down the road.
It's clever.
Yeah.
Very clever.
Say it, man.
So the first time I presented this, we had a man who had come out of the gay lifestyle, and he had no clue about any of this.
Yeah. He lived it for however long, 40 years or something.
And he was just blown away by all the actual ancient and spiritual connections going on.
Wow. And there's other spiritual connections with these acts that you talked about in the last video. You know, anal sex and all these things that are Baal worship. Yeah. So every aspect of the LGBTQ lifestyle roots back to satanic practices, if you want to get just blunt with it. Yeah. And I see even today, you go to those parades, the pride parades, and you'll see pentagrams, you'll see witchcraft, you'll see people dressed up as the devil, you'll see Christ openly mocked. And it's like, it's mind-blowing to me that people don't see the connection in the occult and this LGBTQ lifestyle. Yeah.
All right. Going ahead. We have a god that was actually known by the Sumerians and Canaanites as well as the Egyptians. There's overlap suddenly. And once in a while you see this, and it actually starts happening more often. She was known as the consort, which means basically spouse of Baal or lover of Baal. Literally the wife, I guess. Wife of Baal. And her name is Anut, Anat, or Nut. Or Nut, maybe.
I think it's Anut.
Nut, okay.
That sounds more Egyptian.
Yes. She's known as the sky god, mostly depicted in nude human form. Nut was sometimes depicted in the form of a cow whose great body formed the sky and heavens, a sycamore tree. So there we go. Another tree. Or as a giant sow suckling many piglets representing the stars, or a pot on the head representing the uterus.
The stars are represented by piglets?
Yes.
I don't see that, but okay.
It doesn't show it, but it's the stars in her abdomen there as the heavens.
Yeah, I do see that.
I guess that would be that. The life comes from her, basically. Okay. Yeah. So, reading a bit more about her, it says that she was headstrong and submitted to no one. Anat is very similar to Cybele, yes. Yeah. Yep. In this way. So now all of a sudden Cybele, this other goddess, and her, we're seeing the same trend. So just pay attention to that a little bit. Okay. She is both young and attractive, but she's a bearded soldier.
Oh, she's a bearded soldier.
But is a bearded soldier.
That is young and attractive. Those don't go together for me, but okay.
Yeah. leading many to believe that she is either androgynous or bisexual. So all of a sudden we have this. It comes on the scene. She thus symbolizes the mystical and sacred union of both sexes in one, which is called the sacred spiritual marriage of the two. We're going to look at that because of which, let's just go on, of which her worshippers would ritualistically reenact the Hyros Gamos. That is what that is called. This ritual, Hyros Gamos, is the sacred spiritual marriage of the two. It's a fertility rite in Wicca, which is enacted at Beltane or Easter.
Interesting. Okay.
As the Great Rite. They also call it the Great Rite. To become initiated into the third degree. So now they're mentioning Freemasonry.
Yeah.
As it relates to Wiccanism. Beltane means the fire of Baal, or Bel.
No.
Same name.
It is.
Passing through the fire, usually jumping through it as a purification ritual before performing the sexual act of the Great Rite.
And this is what the Bible talks about. Don't pass through the fire.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to have to sneeze.
Oh. It is indeed the feminist she's the feminist figure and movement of that time period. In Stories from Ancient Canaan, written by Michael Coogan, he notes that while Anat, Astarte, and Ashera appear regularly in these Ugarit myths, none of them have major roles. Ashera is consort of the supreme god El. So now they just have the same goddess, and she's not married to Baal, it's El, all of a sudden.
Wow.
The warlike Anat is Baal's sister and his wife. So all of a sudden, Nimrod married his mother's sister.
Yeah.
Do you see how Nimrod really
Baal's sister
is Baal?
Yeah.
He created Baal worship, and then the story perpetuated from Nimrod, and it became Baal and Anat, Baal and Sib, whatever. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
She has a furious temper, like the Hindu goddess Kali. So all of a sudden, Kali comes on the scene. She wears human heads as a necklace and human hands on a belt.
Wow.
In the myth of Aquat, Anan demands the king give her his bow and arrow made by the god of crafts. When he refuses and insults her, her vengeance costs him his life. The parallel with Ishtar's spurned proposal to Gilgamesh is striking. So there's another overlap. This overlaps the story of Ishtar and Gilgamesh.
Gilgamesh, that's in the Bible, right?
Yes.
I was going to say I've recognized that name.
Yes, it is. At least that I know of. Before wreaking her vengeance, Anat turns to the supreme god El, perhaps for help or permission, but presumably he refuses her because she threatens him and he lets her go. Again, there's a parallel with Ishtar threatening to wreak havoc on the supreme god Anu. Because...
If the supreme god...
if the supreme god Anu doesn't let her take revenge on Gilgamesh. And with Inanna and Abi. Okay, I'm going to say it that way. Abi. In which Inanna seeks Anu's permission to take revenge on the uppity mountain. So she seems to have power over even the most supreme.
Yeah.
Interesting. All right, so as we saw, you might have tuned in before. This is Ashera, Astarte, Astereth, Ashera, whatever. They always had poles.
Yep.
And they were known.
Pole.
Yep. They were known to be gender fluid because every pole, and here's where the grotesque part comes in, it's any one of these that you want to choose. It's the busted figure, it's the maypole, it's the Mary Tree of Life.
Yeah.
It's the just poles there. It's the tree, the Christmas tree, the obelisk, stripper poles, whatever. It was used as a genderless orgy pole. Let's just put it that way. And so you really don't need to have a gender, and you don't really need to be specific as to what kind of person you like because it's all going to happen.
That's what they call a pansexual.
Yeah.
You think about why is it called pansexual?
Mm-hmm.
Well, because it goes back to the Greek god Pan, who was the god of sexual deviance, and he was birthed from an orgy, it says. Mm-hmm. So yeah, it's actually Pan worship, and Pan is the depiction we have of Satan these days with the horns and the hoofs and all that.
Yes. So The Bible talks about these Asherah, Astarte, and Ashtoreth specifically. It says in Judges 3:7, the Israelites did evil in the eyes of the Lord. They forgot the Lord their God and served the Baals and the Asherahs. In Deuteronomy 16:21, do not set up any wooden Asherah pole beside the altar you built to the Lord your God. Build to the Lord your God. So they were doing that.
I didn't know it was that direct in the Bible.
Yes. And as I said there, besides these verses, Asherah poles are mentioned 40 times in the Bible. So we had a problem. Yeah, I say we because as a human race, I think we are having a problem with Asherah and Baal worship. Obviously, it's just all starting to compound.
Yeah.
Okay, so going a little bit more into who she is, it says in the Bible, the Iron Age texts of 1 Kings 18:19 states that Asherah had prophets in Tyre, just as the Canaanite god Baal had prophets. Additionally, in 2 Kings 23:6, it declares that the priests of Solomon's temple brought out all the objects made for Baal and Asherah and all the hosts of heaven. So they were keeping them in Solomon's temple. Wow. If you don't know that, occultists are always trying to rebuild or set up an altar that looks like Solomon's temple.
Yeah, that's what the Freemasons, their whole mission is.
Yes.
Their masonry is building.
Yep.
And they want to rebuild Solomon's temple.
Mm-hmm.
There's myth or legend, or may or may not be true, but that hexagram, the 6-pointed star that people recognize as the Star of David, was a symbol in Solomon's ring, and he would control demons with it and everything.
Yeah.
But Solomon, he was the wisest man in the Bible. He prayed for wisdom, and God blessed him with that wisdom because it was like a noble thing. He could have prayed for anything else, but he let it get the best of him, and he ended up doing all the things he wasn't supposed to do. Marrying, for one, married 1,000 women, and they were all pagans, and so he fell into paganism, and that's the whole reason. God isn't a racist. He's not saying don't marry outside. Some people get it confused, and they think you're not supposed to marry a different race or nationality, when in reality it was, don't be unequally yoked. Don't marry someone that believes in other gods, because
they will corrupt you.
Yeah, I mean that's how the enemy defeated the Israelites. They said, get the pagan women to put on a party and dance, and we'll get them that way.
Exactly.
They got them.
Yep.
Without firing a shot.
Exactly. So that's the point. So they even know, Satanists, Luciferians, occultists, they all know about Solomon's temple and how he got so deep into the occult that they want to be just like him.
Right.
And so that's the connection there. Anyway. Now let's see. Asherah is associated with the Phoenician goddess Astarte. In the Bronze Age, the Canaanite Asherah, known as Atherat, the wife of El and the mother of the gods, was a principal deity in Tyre. So different regions are coming up with different names, but they're all the same. However, the specific name of Astarte is also found in the Bible, such as in Judges 2 and 1 Samuel 7. Therefore, if there's a connection between Asherah and Astarte, they must be one and the same.
Yeah.
Divine name changes and intercultural correlations are common in many ancient mythologies.
That's true.
Similarly, Asherah is often interlaced with various other deities of different names and is believed to have a diverse iconography. Her mythology is hard to determine because, in addition to Astarte, she often took on attributes of Anat and Ishtar or Nana as well. The Babylonian goddess Ashratu appears to be a version of Asherah, and she was known for her eroticism. So there's the connection with the poles and the fertility rites and the eroticism, erogenous sites or regions. There we go. The Babylonians learned of her through the Amorites, who saw her as the consort of the god Amuru. In Babylon, she was thought to be the daughter-in-law of Anu and was known as the Lady of the Steeps. Steeps are mountains, hillsides, groves.
Right. Bohemian Grove.
Exactly.
I think it's interesting. It does talk about these poles and eroticism. That's the stripper poles. And there's a billboard in a city close by, and you can see it right when you get off the interstate. And it's just a big billboard with a silhouette of a, you know, how they always do, like the silhouette of a woman, just like the picture you showed, a silhouette of a woman on a pole, and it says Babylon. It's a strip club named Babylon with the girl on the pole. Like, it's literally so in her face. Why would a strip club pick that name? They know it's wrong. You know, Babylon is associated with sin, just like you go to Vegas and it's called Sin City. Let's go to Sin City, and we think it's fun. Broadway, you know, the Bible says, don't take the broad way, take the narrow way.
Right.
Broad is the way that leads to destruction, and yet we look at that like glitz and glam. I wish I was on Broadway. Yeah. Hollywood, the wood of witches' wands. Yeah. And all this stuff's right in our face.
So, excuse me, it says her association with mountains in Babylon may be a hint of her Canaanite origins, because she's the same, one and the same as Asherah, even though she might be called Inanna. In the fertility cult of Baal and Asherah, there were two groups of functionaries called Quedesim and Quedesat. In Hebrew, the two words literally mean the holy ones, and many English Bibles translate the word Quedesim as male cult prostitutes.
Wow.
I cited it right there from 1 Kings 15, verses 12, and the word Quedesat as female cult prostitutes in Hosea 4, verse 14.
Interesting. Yeah, it does. I've seen, whenever I'm looking up pagan gods to see how they associate with like comic book heroes or whatever, they do have different names, and sometimes it's like it's this Roman god is the same Greek god. So the Greek and Roman, they're like interchangeable, but they're different gods. Like Hermes is one of them. I'm trying to remember, but along the lines of they change names, today they're superheroes. So you might in the future, in the far future, they'll look back and say, in their history books, they'll say, "Yep, we got Hermes, and later he was called Flash. Yeah, we had Neptune. Later they called him Aquaman, because these names, they do just change depending on what culture you're in. And now we have those same gods today. Different package, very different true. Name.
So this is how I guess I'll just point out the pictures. Of course, we have the large lady holding her breast. That's Inanna. But this was like, I don't know, just femininity. This was actually being strong like all of these people, and being gender fluid. I will point out, and I'm sorry to do this, but the one that has the swans down, the picture of the lady with the swans, you mentioned Pan, but we have bestiality that comes into this as well. There's a mythology of a goddess associated with, I think, Inanna, where she has two geese, and she ends up having relations with them.
Wow. Well, yeah, that's,
or swans, I think.
Most people might not admit it or recognize it, but pansexual would include animals. Because what pansexual literally means is, I don't care what you have. I mean, like, if someone was attracted, if somebody went to a bar and they saw this beautiful woman and they took her home and was going to go to bed with them and found out that they were actually a transgender with male parts, they'd be like, I'm fine with that too. It's just like whatever goes, you know. There's no rules. I'm cool with anything. And so why wouldn't that include animals as well? Pansexual literally just means the most debaucherous sexual lifestyle you can have. Right. And there's people that are saying they are that. Yeah. I mean, there's Demi Lovato says she's pansexual. It's becoming trendy to become pansexual now. Yeah.
It's crazy. All right. So here's where, I know this sounds terrible, but we've only gotten to the flood so far, folks.
Awesome. Genesis.
So that was all of the biblical civilizations before the flood. Now we come to Egypt.
Wow.
So The storm god associated with many natural disasters, Seth, in Egyptian, while married to his sister, here we go again,
Always with
his
the
sister,
incest.
Nephthys, is depicted as engaging in sexual activities with other male deities such as Horus. Described as having impotent testicles, he never had a child. This may not be a sign of great tolerance in the culture. Seth was cast in a terribly negative light in many stories, and while his childbearing siblings Osiris and Isis represent life, he represents the desert.
Huh.
This may indicate a certain negative sentiment about gay identity.
Really?
Mm-hmm.
The negative.
Mm-hmm. So,
Well, because if you're gay, you can't reproduce.
you can't bear
and
children.
These cultures are all about fertility.
Exactly. So strange. Again, Satan is clever because he's inciting this and people don't even know what they're getting into. And then all of a sudden it's like, this was a fertility cult. It still is, to this god, worshiping them. But all of a sudden it's like, you can't even bear children from that. Yeah. Not that you should, but I'm just saying. Ironic. So Horus, as it was mentioned, was his kind of lover. Many tales about Seth focus on his envy of his nephew Horus. So he was actually having relations with his nephew.
Gross.
The child of Isis and Osiris, which were his sisters. In one tale, documented well in Richard Parkinson's Homosexual Desire and Middle Kingdom Literature, Horus is either raped or seduced into a sexual encounter. Seth intends to embarrass Horus by showing others Horus was the receptive partner in the act. But Horus gets the upper hand because he secretly captures Seth's semen, then has his mother Isis feed it back to Seth in his lettuce.
Oh my god.
When the semen is called forth by Seth in an attempt to humiliate Horus, it comes from Seth instead. Interestingly enough, the tale shows that ancient Egyptian culture didn't look down on homosexuality, something Horus engaged in himself.
Okay, wow, we have a lot of confusion here.
Yes.
But I think it's interesting because they were talking about humiliating someone else by showing that they were on the receiving end.
And they raped.
That happens in these secret societies and these Hollywood elites and all that.
Yeah.
They have to go through these initiation things. They call in the college world, they call it hazing. In the Freemason world, it's these initiations and stuff. And they have to go to these secret parties and do unspeakable things, and all of it is captured on camera because, you know, that's why part of the Illuminati part of the Illuminati symbolism is the finger over the mouth, the shush, the keeping the secret. Because if you get out of line, once you've sold your soul for riches and fame, which Satan gives you, that he can give you that. He's the God of this world. He offered it to Jesus. I'll give you all the kingdoms of the world if you bow down to me. If he can offer that to Jesus, he can offer it to any one of us. And I believe there's many people that took that offer, not realizing what they were getting themselves into and how disgusting all that world is. And they went out. But now it's too late.
Yep.
And now there's blackmail on them and everything.
Yep.
And if they start to, speak out or try to escape, then those things start to leak out. Either this is going to come out and ruin your reputation, or it's going to get you imprisoned. I just look at Michael Jackson and stuff that I don't know. I'm not saying he's completely innocent. I don't know.
I don't think so. But
when he started speaking out and saying, the owner of Sony is the devil and all this stuff, he was really like on stage saying stuff about these higher ups that are in control of everything, and he was terrified. He said they're trying to kill me and all this stuff, and then he ends up dead. But what I'm saying is there was a big smear campaign against his reputation that went public. All this stuff was starting to come out, and I think it was that blackmail stuff. And so I just think it's interesting that this goes way back to these ancient gods, that they were saying, look who was on the receiving end and all that.
Very true.
Wow.
All right. So, ironically, the Egyptians were rich. I shouldn't say rich. rich in culture that included many rulers and people that were trans or LGBTQ or whatever.
They had an abundance.
Yes. So the next one is Antinous. This resurrection figure, so now all of a sudden we have like a Christ figure, holds ties to ancient Egyptian, Greek, and Roman cultures. Antinous was a real historical figure and the male companion of the Roman Emperor Hadrian. The pair would take journeys around the Mediterranean, and on one trip, Antinous drowned in the Nile on the same day that the Egyptians commemorated the watery death of Osiris. Deeply affected by the death of his lover, Hadrian encouraged the deification of Antinous, and cults sprung up around the Mediterranean honoring him. In some tellings, Antinous rose from the Nile after his death and was then revered as a form of Osiris reborn. Indeed, the god and the Roman cult that followed him still have devotees today.
Wow. And what is this god?
Antinous.
Antinous. Still have devotees today.
Mm-hmm. A gay guy. A tomb. In the creation story for the Egyptian gods, the first deity, that's interesting that they're saying that. So he's like the very first on top great god. A tomb was both male and female. According to studies by researcher Mark Burstman, the ancestor to all self-produced two offspring, Shu and Tefnut, through either a sneeze or his own semen. And it wasn't for a few generations that the archetypical male and female gods of Isis and Osiris were then born. So he could produce life on his own. He was asexual.
Okay. Yeah.
In other words.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow.
Mm-hmm. Okay, so then we have Nephthys. While there are fewer tales in Egyptian history and mythology about female than male homosexuality, many consider the goddess Nephthys to be a lesbian. The sister and constant companion of Isis, she married her brother Seth, but bore him no children. Scholars have debated whether the stories of Nephthys, who did bear one son by Osiris, show that the culture held lesbians in greater esteem than gay men because they could still be fertile despite their sexual orientation.
Fertile but can't reproduce if they're only engaging in the lesbian lifestyle.
True. But Osiris was a female as well, so Nephthys and Osiris,
That's what I'm saying, though. If you got
I get what you mean.
Two fertile lesbians are not going to reproduce.
Right. And then Isis. Isis was among the few goddesses worshipped both by the Egyptians and their Mediterranean neighbors in Greece. The mother goddess and the protector of children, she also cared for society's downtrodden, which may be why gay priests in ancient Egypt worshipped the deity. In one tale documented at Isiopolis, Isis appeared in a dream accompanied by an Egyptian retinue to calm the pregnant Telethusa, who feared she would deliver a girl against her husband's wishes. Isis told the mother to carry the child, Iphis, who was born a girl but raised as a boy. Later in life, Iphis called on Isis to change his gender to male, in an ancient gender affirmation granted by divine means in the story.
So what I think is interesting is that, what's her name? Rihanna has that tattoo, Isis tattoo on her chest.
Yeah.
These people, these elites, they are all into this stuff. And it's a gay priest. Mm-hmm. And we were just talking about how the Pope of the Catholic Church, of the papacy, he wears that Dagon hat. This is Egyptian, Babylonian worship. Mm-hmm. And they are these gay priests. Like, this stuff has been exposed, that they were involved in abusing children, mainly men with boys. Mm-hmm. And so it's the same thing. It's repackaged and even guised in Christianity. Mm-hmm. People think that the Catholic Church is Christian when it's literally...
No.
Babylon had to get a new disguise that wasn't ostracized, and it became the Catholic Church.
Right.
Crazy.
So then we have Ra or Rot, who is sun god. But while the sun god Ra, in most mythological accounts, was regarded as the father to the major gods, Sir Ernest Alfred Wallace Budge wrote of a clear indications of double gender nature in the deity. As early as the 5th dynasty, Budge wrote of Ra's female counterpart, Rot, who is considered the mother of the gods. So then all of a sudden we have someone who's just like, I'm both.
Yeah. I mean, that's the whole gender fluid thing.
Okay. So next, man, I'm not going to even say those names. The clearest evidence that bisexuality was acceptable in ancient Egypt may be the tomb of these two men. Laid to rest in the necropolis of Saqqara. Hieroglyphics indicate that the men were married with children, but also show them an intimate embrace. The two men apparently worked as overseers to manicurists in the palace of King Noesir. There is some scholarly debate as to whether the men were brothers, but virtually all depictions of the pair show a commitment that looks far from fraternal.
Yeah, right. I mean,
So-
I wouldn't get that close to my brother, mouth to mouth like that.
Yeah.
That's not a greet with a holy kiss.
No. And then there's Hatshepsut, the first documented transgender figure in history that was an Egyptian pharaoh. This person, Deidre Ramsey McIntyre of Something Publishing, says that unlike other female Egyptian rulers, Hatshepsut was always depicted in ancient art wearing men's clothing, and she frequently was drawn with a male body and a strap-on beard. Her descendant, Thutmose III, would later try to eradicate nearly all historic reference to her.
Oh. So I've definitely seen that head with that square beard on it. That's a strap-on beard.
Yes.
Okay, makes sense.
And I've heard that some people say she had to, or people wouldn't respect her as a ruler, that you had to look like a male, like men could only rule. But why would you consent to that? Why would you already just give into that and be like, sure, I'll be both. I'll be a different gender.
Yeah. If you want girl power, then be a girl. Not, I have to disguise myself as a man. Then you're not really in power at all.
Right.
You're actually submitting to the whole misogynistic thing.
Okay. So then we have these two men as well. The Egyptian king himself, who many scholars believe rose to become Pharaoh Pepi II, would make conspicuous midnight visits to his favorite general, Sassanet, according to tales during the era of the Middle Kingdom. According to German scholars Gunter Burkhardt and Heinz Thyssen, some ancient texts state that this pharaoh would do to the military leader what his majesty desired.
Neferkari.
Yes. A phrase they interpret as clear innuendo of sexual congress. Sexual affairs.
What his majesty desired, that was the phrase.
Yes. Then there's Happy, the god of the Nile. He. He's depicted in hieroglyphics as an intersex person. There you go.
Yeah.
With a ceremonial false beard and breasts. While generally referred to as a male, the god also was considered a symbol of fertility. According to Richard Parkinson's, the deity was portrayed to suggest both male and female reproductive power, a topic that has incited debate among scholars. So that's the picture there. You can see the breasts are insinuated. The belly is there for fertility and bearing children.
That's what I was going to say. It looks like it has a pregnant stomach.
Yeah. But it's a male.
Which we see today. Man,
Yeah.
I see more and more. Like, it looks like a guy with a beard with a pregnant belly giving birth.
Yeah.
So crazy.
And then there's another water god named Wajwir for fertility. A deity depicted at a pyramid site in Abu Sir, sometimes referred to as the pregnant god again. which held the same type of station as river gods in Greek mythology, representing the Mediterranean Sea in some accounts or rivers and lagoons of the North Nile Delta in others. An association with water, given the wavy lines in the skin, which seems the greatest distinguishing feature separating him from Happy. He carries an offering loaf on a mat with an ankh symbol suspended from his arm. With his androgynous form, large breasts and a belly represent pregnancy. Wajwir is associated with fertility and prosperity. He continued to be referred to throughout ancient Egyptian history, especially through protective amulets and tomb inscriptions. So here we have like the offering of a bread item.
Yeah, very interesting.
Interesting.
Yeah.
All right. So
in a religious
ceremony.
Ceremony, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
It's a counterfeit of the Last Supper.
Yeah.
You know, Jesus did break bread with his disciples before he was crucified, and he said, "Do this in remembrance of me." Mm-hmm. But of course, Satan's going to counterfeit all these things. I know that the Bible talks about cakes were offered up to the Queen of Heaven.
Yeah.
And the Catholic Church likes to call Mary the Queen of Heaven, which she's not. But when you look up the Queen of Heaven, who is the Queen of Heaven in the Bible? It's a false god. There's nothing good said about the Queen of Heaven in the Bible. And this Babylonian sect that disguises itself as a Christian Catholic Church or whatever,
right?
They're still performing these ceremonies of the cakes to the Queen of Heaven.
Yes. Not to mention the idol worship that you can see around there. There's always the food, the cakes, the fruit. So, all right. Then we get to the Roman gods, Venus. There was in Cyprus a statue of a bearded Venus who was considered to be of both sexes and to whom sacrifice was offered by men dressed as women and women dressed as men. The noisy procession of Gali is the very top.
Yeah.
Or eunuch priests of Cybele, the mother of the gods, paraded the towns and villages of Syria, Asia Minor, and other parts, attired as women and soliciting the populace to unholy rites.
Wow.
So they made the connection between Venus and Cybele there, and these erotic, unholy rituals, and them dressing. No matter if you're women, you dress like a man. If you're a man, you dress like a woman.
Yeah.
There's also Aphrodite in the Babylonian culture. Aphrodite is the goddess of prostitution. There's another bell that should go off.
Yeah.
We already mentioned prostitution elsewhere, but she had both male and female prostitutes. She also had Inares, which are hermaphrodite shamans who wore women's clothes and received the gift of divination from the goddess. This came about also with the tale of Aphrodite and the god Hermes having a child named Hermaphroditus, who was a young boy that turned into a half male, half female person.
That was interesting.
In ancient Greece, Aphrodite was the goddess of fertility, love, and joy. This is important for us to understand that on her behalf, brides would prostitute themselves to bring luck to their marriage.
That's not lucky.
No.
In a marriage. Wow.
But listen, they say why it's supposed to be lucky. The most shameful of the customs among the Babylonians is this. It is necessary for each local woman to sit in the sanctuary of Aphrodite just once in their life to mingle with a foreign man for money. A trousseau set up with money earned with sacred prostitution would be even more blessed than a common one. So your dowry doesn't matter. Your prostitution money does.
Yeah.
By providing love and pleasure in the name of the goddess, these brides would attract happiness and luck to themselves. Now, in the priestess's case, sex would be one of the many forms of worship to Aphrodite, Venus, or Melita. Depending on the place and the name of the deity, it changes, but their characteristics are basically the same.
I notice, it talks about, I know the scientific term, medical term, a hermaphrodite, someone that's born with both male and female genitalia. It's a mutation. It's not, some people might try to use that as, see, some people are born both and non-binary and fluid and all this stuff. No, it's a mutation. Some people are born with, Siamese twins, or I don't know if that's a politically correct term, but conjoined twins. It's just a mutation that happens.
And a mutation, quite honestly, in the scientific world is a defect.
Yeah.
It's something that happened in your genes where they didn't cross-correct correctly and then spread to create a normal cell.
Yeah. What I'm getting at is that they call that a hermaphrodite.
Right.
The terminology used in the medical world is based off of this god.
Exactly.
This ancient god.
Yeah, it's crazy.
That is.
All right, more on Aphrodite. The English name Aner is derived from the ancient Greek name recorded by Herodotus. Herodotus of Halicarnassus.
Oh, yeah. Wow.
Pardon my pronunciation. As Aneres, itself derived from the Scythian term Aneria, meaning unmanly.
Huh.
The Aneria used cannabis in their rituals, including both those of a communal and those of a funerary or psychopompic nature, thus being among the earliest spiritual practitioners to have used cannabis to achieve altered states of consciousness, implying that an ancient connection existed between gender non-conforming spiritual practitioners and the use of mind-altering substances. After the burial of the deceased, they ritually cleansed themselves with the vapor of cannabis, which is attested archaeologically in Saka tombs from Siberia, which contained tripods, braziers, pelts, and charcoal containing remains of cannabis leaves and fruits. Aphrodite was the Greek goddess of love and beauty. She was the most beautiful of the goddesses, but was married to the ugliest of the gods. The limp, smithy Hephaestus?
Hephaestus, yeah.
I would say that's Pan, basically, but I don't know if that's the same.
Well, there's a picture. It looks like Pan.
Right, that is her. But Aphrodite had many affairs with men, both human and divine, resulting in many children, including Eros, which actually becomes Cupid. Anteros, I don't know how to say that, Hymneos, and Aeneas. Algea, which is splendor, myth, all of these other children. And so she actually birthed more and more gods. Like, this is actually how you start understanding that it happened in their mythology. It's strange. It's like just a bunch of orgies and cheating on each other.
Cupid, that's associated with Valentine's Day. And it's just, we're showing from history that every holiday that people keep these days is rooted in paganism.
Yes. So, in Cybele, which is a Phrygian goddess, similarly, they had Galley, eunuch priests, which served the goddess Cybele. She's also called the mother of the gods, as the Greeks saw her. With roots in eastern Turkey going back to at least 6000 BCE, Cybele was seen as syncretic with other ancient early mothers, Rhea, Demeter, Gaia, Atargatis, Mother Earth, the Syrian goddess. So they're actually telling us that Mother Earth was always a part of this, for one. And that's how the Syrians actually titled her. Who also had queer priesthoods. All of these people had queer priesthoods.
Yeah.
Cybele worship became the official religion of the Roman Empire around 200 BCE, when she was adopted as its Magna Mater, or Great Mother. The Romans enlisted her support on the advice of an oracle in their campaign to dominate the Mediterranean world. Interesting. A black meteorite represents her and was brought from Anatolia to Rome in a magnificent temple constructed for the goddess in the city. Her camp, flamboyant, long-haired, loud, and queer Gallic priests, and her female priestesses called the Melissa, or the Bees.
Wow.
Which made me think of Beyonce and her bees.
Yep, the Queen Bee.
Queen Bee. They all came with her, but the Galli so shocked the Roman locals that they were forced to live outside the cities. They formed traveling bands, bringing lively, intoxicated goddess worship to the people, and some followed the Roman soldiers wherever they went, bringing the goddess often wild, sexual, and ecstatic worship as far as Britain and Spain. During the first century of Cybele's time in Rome, Roman citizens were not allowed to undergo the initiatory act of ritual castration. I don't know why, but this was inspired by a story of Attis, lover of Cybele. So here we come by the story of why castration for this particular goddess. So her lover, this male Attis, castrated himself while in a sexual frenzy to avoid marrying a human woman. The Gallic priests mourned for Attis and self-castrated themselves to be better servants to the goddess.
Wow.
In 101 BCE, the law was changed so that certain citizens could become Gallic, and then it was removed the remaining restrictions. This tolerance only lasted for a short time, but
Tolerance. Yeah.
Yep, there you go, tolerance.
Yeah.
And it was soon removed for good as Christianity, quote unquote Christianity, there you go, consolidated its power in the empire.
Before you move on, I noticed that it talks about a black rock.
Yes.
A black meteorite represents this god,
Cybele.
right? Cybele.
Yep, this goddess.
And so I looked up just to make sure I had my facts right. I said, what is inside the Mecca cube? Which, for anybody that doesn't know, Mecca is where all the Muslims go, however often they go. And there's a giant black cube. They all walk circles around it. I asked Google, what is inside of that cube? And it says a black stone, also known as Al-Hajar Al-Aswad. This stone is located in the Kaaba's eastern corner. Muslims revere the stone, which is believed to have been given to, I don't know this word, Abraham. I guess Abraham. It's spelled with an I here. By the angel Gabriel. So here's a stone, a black stone that was given to humanity by an angel.
Yeah.
The black stone was originally a single piece of rock, but is now made up of several pieces that have been cemented together and surrounded by a silver frame. Let's see. It says basically they call it a meteorite. So that's what this is. It is a symbol. It's a symbol of Cybele.
Yes, but.
And it came from heaven. It fell from heaven.
Think bigger than that. So you have the cube of Mecca for the Islamic faith. In the Jewish faith, I don't know what it's called, but the black
cube on their forehead.
Supposedly with the Torah that they wear on their foreheads.
Right.
But when it really boils down to everything, it's Cybele and her meteorite, or the black cube of Saturn.
Wow, yeah.
Which I'm not going to get into. You can watch the Baal thing. It gives you basically what that is.
Right. Yeah, it's like you mentioned the cube part in that, but now we're getting to this black rock part, which represents Cybele, and you got these companies like BlackRock that own everything.
Right.
It's wow. It's crazy.
Yes. Okay, so that was just a little side thing. But Cybele is depicted as Kali. That's actually one of her other names in India. She has lots of breasts sometimes. She always has lions around her, and she was known as the goddess of thresholds, transitions, literal transitions, people. This is gender transition and street raves. Okay?
Yeah.
So, more on her, because it's necessary. She was named Astragoddess, or Cybele, Artemis in Ephesus. So here we're actually seeing as her name changes. I should really include the top part. I'm sorry. In various forms in Syria and Asia Minor, as well as in Rome, she was known as the Great Mother. And she was known under the name of Astragoddess or Cybele, Artemis in Ephesus during Paul's day. In Syria, known as Rhea, the effeminized priests imitated the deeds of Attis in a trance-like ecstasies. Including the rites of Cybele or Rhea, actually included baptism in the blood of a slaughtered bull or ram that occurred in the Torubolium. At the end of the ceremony, powers of the bull within its genitals were offered to the mother of the gods. Again, a symbol, male emasculation of men under the occult power of the goddess. Augustine, in his City of God, vividly describes the games honored in honor of Tanit, the celestial virgin and mother of the gods, where obscene actors role-play disgusting acts in the presence of an immense throng of spectators and listeners of both sexes. He also describes the public display of homosexual priests. So, this is very interesting because this is her priest that's up top there in the black background and has the Phrygian hat on. Doesn't have much else on. But these are the bullfights that we would think of in the, the Pope, that the Pope has.
The Pope has bullfights?
Yeah.
Oh, I didn't know that. But I know it happens in Spain, and
he attends them.
Yeah. Where did I see when it talks about the Great Mother? When you look that term up in the Bible, you're going to see like the Great Mother of Harlots. Mm-hmm. I just, so much of this stuff has red flags when you actually know the Bible, and that's why it's so important to study the Bible, because Satan's deceptions are so subtle. They look so close to the truth that we're going to fall for them if you don't study the truth, you're going to fall for the counterfeit.
Right.
I was noticing something about this. It said the Celestial Virgin.
Yes.
And I know
very
that
good.
The Catholic Church calls Mary like a perpetual virgin.
Yes.
She wasn't.
Yes.
She was married to Joseph, and Jesus had brothers. All this is in the Bible. She's not a virgin.
All throughout, you've been noticing the Virgin, the Mother of the Gods. You know what I mean? You've been noticing the Queen of Heaven. All these titles they give Mary when it's not Mary at all.
Right.
Yeah.
It's not a Cybele.
Right. So, was that all you wanted to say?
Yeah.
Okay. Going on, the second paragraph there, it says the cult of Cybele, also known as Magna Mater, which is the Great Mother, would be part of Rome's fabric until its Christianization, when she became known as Mother Mary or the Virgin Mary. There you go. Right. Her statue was paraded through the streets annually, accompanied by long-haired priests armed with musical instruments and flagelling themselves, which means whipping themselves with whips made of knuckle bones. These priests were called the Galli. We just spoke about that. The Galli differentiated themselves from Roman civic religion through their clothing and behavior. After entering the cult and castrating themselves, the Galli wore the clothing and jewelry of a Roman woman. They may have received secondhand clothes and or other goods from women in exchange for fortune-telling. So they mentioned fortune-telling, divination, clairvoyance, all these things so far. Yeah. Which does seem to be the dots, the connecting of the dots that comes with the spiritual power of this. Also in Corybantes in Mythology were 7 rustic demigods or demons appointed by Zeus to guard the infant Dionysus and his nurse, the nymph Mystis or Macris, on the island of Euboea. Okay. So that's a picture of Corybantes on the bottom. However, those in service to Cybele that were Corybantes were dancers, shrieking wildly as they danced. So we should be thinking about that, and we're going to connect the dots there in a minute.
I don't want to break the
flow
of things here, but there is somebody in the comments section here. This is live, so we're getting comments come in. This is actually a friend of ours, Aaron, and he said, did you see that Cat Williams was on Joe Rogan talking about, what exactly did he say here? It says, Mikey, did you hear what Cat Williams said about the transgender god worshipped in Hollywood? And he sent me a link. It's a 5-minute clip. It says Cat Williams on Joe Rogan talking about Baphomet. And I just think it's interesting that things are starting to come out. People thought, God woke me up to this stuff in 2012. New World Order, Illuminati, all this type of stuff. And I was just like, I'm going to wake the sleeping giant. And I just put it all out there, and people stopped friending me, unfriending me. And I thought I was crazy. But now people on the inside are starting to speak out. Now that everybody has like podcasts, there's lots of different ways to get your voice out there. Even as a celebrity, you don't really have a voice because your platform is controlled.
Right.
It's controlled by Universal, Sony, whatever. But now with these free platforms like YouTube and podcasts and all this stuff, the truth is getting out there. And so I did want to plug that. If anybody wants to look into that after the show or whatever, check out Cat Williams talking about the Baphomet on Joe Rogan. I'm going to watch it too. Thanks, Aaron.
Okay. Good connection. So this was on Medium, written by the gay priests of the goddess today. They actually call themselves gay priestesses of the goddess. And they say the effeminacy of priests was so deeply embedded in the collective consciousness. I wanted proof from them.
Yeah.
That's what I'm getting at here. That Christianity insisted its priests be celibate and continue to wear frocks, for the public would not readily accept married priests.
Well, quote unquote Christianity.
Right.
This is the Catholic Church.
The mother of the gods also admits effeminates, and the goddess would not judge so if by nature unmanliness were a trivial thing, wrote Greek philosopher Sextus Empiricus in the 2nd century. Castration was common among the goddess priesthoods and was popular too among the early Christians. So again, Christians, we really have to think about that word. Whenever it's used in the history books today, it just means Roman Catholicism.
Right.
I don't know why, but they got that term given to them.
Yeah.
And Christians today, real Protestant churches, were never the church.
Right.
We are never the church.
Yeah, if you look up what's the world's largest Christian denomination, it's going to say the Catholic Church. It's amazing that Satan has corrupted the majority of Christianity, because if you're not Catholic, which is the majority of the quote-unquote Christian world, and it's completely Babylonian paganism, then you're a part of some other denomination that is not believing what the Bible actually teaches, such as you don't have to obey the commandments of God or something like that. You know, I was raised in these churches that believe, like, I said that little prayer, I'm good to go. Once saved, always saved. I said the magic prayer, and I can live my life the way I want to, and I get to go to heaven, and nothing can prevent me from going. That's a satanic lie. There's no such thing as a once saved, always saved. There's a relationship, and as long as you keep that relationship, then you're good. I mean, that's what Christ wants, a relationship with us. But like the prodigal son, if you choose to walk away, God allows you that freedom. It breaks his heart. But he's not going to force anyone into heaven. He's not going to force anyone to be in love with him, because love cannot be forced. And so as long as you're in love with Christ and you keep that relationship strong, you pick up your cross daily, you endure until the end. All these things are in the Bible. What are you enduring if it's just you say a magic prayer and it's it? What cross are you picking up daily? What transformation, renewing of your mind? All these things that the Bible says, the fruit, you will know them by their fruits, not because you proclaim to be a Christian, wear a cross and have a Bible in your hand and go to church. That doesn't make you a Christian. It's the fruit. You'll know them by the fruits. And what are the fruits? It's not going to be you look just like the world. It's not going to be you're the same person you were 10 years ago as you are now. Yeah. So I just say all that to say that it's amazing we live in a time when the majority of Christianity isn't even Christian. That's the deception right there.
Yeah, very true. So I just wanted to make that distinction, but, and it was, in Catholicism, just as it says, castration was common among the goddess priesthoods and was popular too among the early Christians, Catholics. Homosexuality had been part of religious life for so long that some Gnostic Christians favored it over procreative sex. Historian Randy Connor quotes 4th century Cypriot bishop Epiphanes on one of these Gnostic sects. Those among them who are called Levites do not have intercourse with women but with each other.
Oh my goodness.
And it is these which are actually distinguished and honored among them. So here we have the idea, and flipped on its head, that...
Who quoted this? Some historian, okay.
Yes. Of the goddess here.
I want to see where he got this source, because I don't believe it.
Yeah. And so, led by those who embodied female spirit, the eunuch was a term used in a very broad sense to refer to men who did not procreate, and eunuchs were often looked upon as a third gender. Jesus refers to the Gospel of Matthew to eunuchs, saying, "There are eunuchs who have been so from birth, and there are eunuchs who have been made eunuchs by others, and there are eunuchs who have made themselves eunuchs for the sake of the kingdom of heaven.
Right.
Let anyone accept this who can. So they're actually saying it's an honored position if you do so.
Yeah. And you're doing it for God.
Yes.
Wow.
Balisades, a Gnostic Christian in Alexandria living around 125 to 150 CE, argued Jesus was here referring to three types of male celibates. Those with a natural revulsion to women, those who practice asceticism, I think I said that right?
Yeah,
asceticism out of a desire for glory from their peers, and those who remain unmarried to better do the work of the kingdom. Note the first type here, exclusively same-sex oriented people have always existed. They did not suddenly find a sense of identity and community in the 19th century as many think today. So this is a gay group saying this.
Well, I mean, the Bible in the Old Testament condemns homosexuality. The book of Genesis talks about Sodom and Gomorrah and what was going on there. So, I mean, for anybody to think this is something new, hip, and trendy is just ignorant.
Right. So, let's continue. In Greek, we have Bacchus, the god Bacchus, or also known as Dionysus. And this is important because we do have certain elements coming in here. He's the Greek god of wine. This religion also invaded India long before Alexander the Great was born. Therefore, you can find the worship of Dionysus in India through rites and reliefs. Dionysus is an ancient Greek god and also part of the Roman pantheon. He was known as Bacchus to the Romans and was connected with the Italian god of fertility and wine. Liber Pater is also a name for him. Interestingly, he is also associated with India and is often mentioned in references of classical antiquity. According to myth, Dionysus the wine god arrived in India and conquered the lands, founded cities, and established laws. In order to elicit altered states of mind and spiritual consciousness, which appears to be what the worship of Dionysus is centered around, one would participate in orgies, bestiality, sensual pleasure, singing, dancing, and all obscenities, beginning with the drinking of copious amounts of wine. Dressing like a half-human, half-animal. Wow. Here we have furries.
Yes.
While doing these things was a part of the custom for ritual rites, particular rites. Wearing masks to hide identity and be nonconformist to a given identity was also used.
This is so crazy that everything that we think is like new, hip, trendy, weird, or cool is it's just literally Satan has inched his way back into our culture today. Something that we used to look at and say, man, I would never do any of that. Bestiality, this is gross. All this stuff that just in the 90s, growing up, we would have thought all this was crazy, disgusting. Who would ever do that? And in a few short generations, 10 years here, 10 years there, we're in a culture where people go to hotels, they rent whole parts of the hotel, dress up as animals, drink copious amounts of wine, the whole ritual that was described, and engage in. I don't know who it is. Could be my sister, could be my brother. I don't know who it is. Whatever, anything goes. We're living it today. Yeah, it's insane.
So I looked this up because I don't know why I got interested in it. So that picture from Quora is actually someone saying, "How do I worship Dionysus? How do I channel him?" They said, of course, you can do so by drinking.
Wow.
That's should be the easiest way to invoke him.
That should be an eye-opener right there for anybody that's still trying to hold on to drinking as a Christian.
Yes. But they also say you can practice forms of excitatory trance. By doing so, there's ecstatic dance. I'm just going to read them quickly.
That's the raves.
Yep.
Ecstasy and dance.
Then there's masturbation, they say, which works wonders. Then you can chant or sing. There's swinging or oscillating, which works. Masks are a big part of Dionysus. So putting on a mask and using your imagination to place yourself in a different context. Now think of that. That was the whole... That's going to come back, I guess, around to what we're going to speak of a little bit later.
Okay.
And meditation. So, yeah, meditation. Yeah, interesting.
Right. And everybody's doing that. And they don't even think it's a religious act.
Okay. So with this being said, we're just going to highlight a few things here. And mainly what we're going to see is that Greek theater, tragedies, and comedies comes into this. While you're all doing certain things and unfortunately engaging in tons of drinking and sexual orgies and things and no rules, there's a lot, I'm just going to be honest, there's a lot of raping going on.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. And furries and all these things that are not right, and animal bestiality and all this stuff, right? But then it's all of a sudden become a blood ritual. There's a blood ritual with this.
Awesome.
Well, I guess that's where we have to read more about this real quick here. Let's look at Bacchanalia. Bacchanalia, by the way, is what became known as Christmas.
Oh, wow.
So, known to the Romans as Bacchanalia, these rites were originally held in secret and only attended by women. Over time, they became co-ed and increasingly popular. The Bacchanalia were notorious for their intensity and abandon. Participants engaged in singing, dancing, and the consumption of copious amounts of wine, which facilitated an altered state of consciousness. Then you have the monadic rites, and the followers of Dionysus, particularly the Menads, engaged in wild, forest-bound rituals. These female devotees were portrayed as being in a state of ecstatic frenzy, driven by intoxication and divine possession. They danced, shouted, and were believed to possess supernatural strength, often depicted as tearing animals apart with their bare hands, and sometimes humans. A ritual act called sparagmos, followed by homophagia, the eating of the raw flesh.
Oh, no.
I'm just going to say people...
It's cannibalism.
Yes, but it happens today. This is part of the rituals today as well.
The spirit cooking and all this, the celebrities are doing.
Yes. So I guess I can't get away with just summarizing some of this. I have to read what's going on here. The mysteries of Dionysus. This was shrouded in rituals and secrecy. Initiates would undergo symbolic experiences of death and rebirth, paralleling the death and rebirth themes of Dionysus' own myths. These rites promised personal purification and renewal, as well as a closer communion with the divine. Then you have processions and symbolic implements, which is Dionysian processions, which are offered featured phallic symbols, symbolizing fertility, and were accompanied by music from instruments like the tyrissus, a staff topped with a pine cone.
Oh, there it is.
Drums and flutes. The celebrants wore ivy wreaths. There you go, the ivy wreath. And animal skins, representing the gods' association with nature and the wild, and sang about all kinds of obscene things.
I mean, that's every rap song, every, melody. Anything you hear in the club that you're dancing to is full of obscene things. Yeah. Literally.
Yeah. Then you have the satire plays, which means exactly what it says. There were a distinctive form of tragic comedy featuring choruses of satire, mythical followers of Dionysus, part man and part beast, and were an integral part of the Dionysian festivals. They combined humor with horror and allowed for an exploration of themes not typically covered in the more formal tragedies. These rites not only served religious purposes, but also facilitated social cohesion and catharsis among participants. So it's like, we're all brotherhood. Providing a space where ordinary rules did not apply and allowing individuals to step outside their everyday identities. So we see a lot of this happening today, and I'm sorry if you don't know that this is happening today with our celebrities and with their rituals. Like you're saying, Hollywood, they do all this.
Yeah, they have all these parties, and celebrities are starting to say it now. They're saying, I went to these parties. And I mean, it's coming out, like P. Diddy, they're saying, I saw things happen at those parties that were unspeakable things. Mm-hmm. And they're not just like innocent little gatherings. Mm-mm. They're doing vile things. Mm-hmm. And these are the people that we look up to. We idolize them. Mm-hmm. They are literally the new Greek and Roman gods that walk among us.
There you go. Mm-hmm.
We think we live in such a different world. We don't. It's the same world. It's just different. We look at them like they're just some barbaric or whatever. They're just like us.
Yeah.
people, you can't look at a certain time period and say, man, those people were really dumb. No, we're doing the same thing.
Well, which tells me we as God's people have always struggled with the same thing.
Yeah.
We keep
Idolatry.
falling into the same sins.
Yeah.
We need to get our act together.
Yeah.
We need to stop giving Satan that power.
Yeah. Because he deceives a generation, they wake up to that, and he deceives them a new way.
Mm-hmm.
But I think, I don't know. Yeah, it's like now it's on such a scale that it's not even hidden. Where you watch the Grammy Awards and it's all, everything's red and they're half naked on stage. You can't tell if they're male or female. They're wearing devil horns. There's a big pentagram on the stage. Everything's just like so in your face. And yet people are still like, it's just art, it's just entertainment, whatever.
Yeah, no. It is symbolizing exactly the ancient symbols it came from. Rituals and symbols it came from.
Yeah. It's just getting more and more open, and people have become desensitized to where they don't even realize that this is real.
Right. Okay. So sorry about those gross details, but that is where it came from. That's where it all got included. This is from the BLBI, the free online Bible courses and Ministry of Blue Letter Bible.
Okay.
And they say, this is from the Pagan Spirit Gathering. We feel there is a power in our sexuality. So now we're applying it to today. And what do LGBTQ people say about themselves?
Okay.
There's a power in our sexuality, a queer energy that most cultures consider magical. It is practically a requirement for certain kinds of medicine and magic.
Wow.
Another gay pagan confirms the spiritual dynamic. It is simply easier to blend with a nature spirit or a spirit of a plant or an animal if you are not concerned with a gender-specific role. The spiritual element is documented through the history of pagan cultures, in which the shaman was often a homosexual. They're just distilling it down. All the things I've been showing you, that's what it is.
This is like a higher ritual magician,
Sorcerer, yep,
yeah.
Or witch doctor.
Yep.
The connection between androgyny and homosexuality and pagan religion has existed all over the world and throughout time. Here's a few modern examples. In the 19th century BC, Mesopotamia, androgynous priests of Ishtar engaged in trance-like ecstasies in contact with spirits of the underworld. We already knew that. We covered that. Then we have the Canaanite religions we've already covered as well, Anat, Cybele, and Rhea. In the Roman Empire, androgynous priests castrated themselves publicly as an act of devotion to the Great Mother. We knew that too.
Wow, that is some devotion.
In Hinduism, anyone who unifies the sexes in sexual practice has reached the highest self-identity. In the medieval West, alchemists who transformed heterosexual energy into androgyny produced spiritual gold. There we have the gold again.
Gold.
We started at the beginning with gold. We are going to talk about gold because it's what they're looking for.
Yeah.
And it says, a tremendously deepened sense of the oneness of all beyond gender differences, what they call gold. Right there. The pagan spiritualist Jacob Bohemy, which is a Freemason source, an occult source, believed the ideal human state was androgyny. In ancient Aztec and Incan religions, homosexual and bisexual priests were common. In American Indian religious practices, homosexual transvestite males are their shamans.
Wow.
In Latin America and the Caribbean islands, homosexuals were magicians with supernatural powers. Frequently, gay temple prostitutes were a means of sanctification. In Jewish Kabbalism, they celebrate the idea of the first cosmic androgyny, and its modern form is committed to global spiritual oneness.
Coexist.
Mm-hmm.
This is what Satan's bringing about, the one world religion. He has to get everyone to accept this stuff.
Yeah.
He has to get everyone. This is mind-blowing. I don't want to interrupt you. Where are you at on here?
I'm right at Purim. Let me just finish that part real quick. Yeah. Purim, which is one of the Hebrew festivals that they keep. Mm-hmm. It's the Feast of Lots. I have it right there. Allows for cross-dressing.
Okay. And this is a Jewish thing?
Yeah.
Yeah.
The Feast of Lots is anyway.
Yeah. And they allow cross-dressing.
Yeah.
When it's literally in the Bible, don't dress like the opposite sex.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So also other examples, I'm really going to fly through this quickly. Medieval alchemists also participated in this goddess worship. South American Incans, we already covered that. Eskimos in the Arctic, African Bushmen, Aborigines. In all of these, the sexual religious combo appears time and time again in these places. We see the onist pagan ideology, which says man in such diverse parts of the world are committed to and involved in the same religious practices. Shamanistic homosexuality is an organic expression of onist spirituality. You can go now.
What I'm seeing, what you're bringing out is, for one, Satan does have an agenda to bring all of humanity into a one world religion,
Mm-hmm.
one world, just like Babylon, the Tower of Babel.
Mm-hmm.
But he has to get people to accept his way, the most debaucherous things. And we're literally at a time where I was in Wyoming. I just got back a couple days ago from Wyoming, where Mount Rushmore is. It's like everywhere you go is American flags. This is all like Republican, right? Like, this is a small town, lots of land, but not a lot of people. 33,000 people in the whole state.
Yeah.
Lots of land, but they are all, wearing Trump hats and stuff. And when we went to downtown, I saw lots of churches downtown, and I saw one with a giant pride flag hanging on the building, on the outside of the building of a Christian church. Is why would you fly a flag? Of all the things, you're not flying the American flag. I don't even agree with that. I don't agree with hanging any flag on a church. But of all things that you would choose to, we're going to fly a flag on the church building, not your country, not the cross, not Jesus on a banner, but the homosexual gay pride flag, which I've tried to say this on every time this topic comes up. I don't believe that flag is just a gay flag.
Right.
It's not. It's the flag of Lucifer. It's the flag of Satan himself. You can look up Lucifer jacket. Look up Lucifer jacket, and you'll see people wearing this leather jacket with the word Lucifer, and every letter is a different color of the rainbow. Only 6, right? Lucifer. Okay, every color of the rainbow, all 7. His flag is the flag of pride. Satan fell because of pride. It's not a gay flag. It's a pride flag. And they keep adding to it. It's not just homosexuals. Now we're going to add transgender. Now we're going to add BLM. Like, there's the black stripe. There's the brown stripe. Oh, you're a brown skin minority. We want to put you on the flag. We want to get everybody to embrace this flag.
Yeah.
Now the church is flying it.
Right. So to kind of go through this some more, it says on the far right, the lie about sexuality. This is a credible source from a college. Siberian shamans known as Chikuchi in Central Asia engage in ecstatic rituals and dresses androgynous. We have all these in Borneo. I'm just going to skip through this. In the Amazon, you have shamans that do this. Celtic priests, Indian hijiras, which are men dressing as women and doing these divination and such. We have the Navajos. They have all of it there. I'm not going to read the rest. But it's basically in every culture. That's really what I'm getting at, and they're getting at. So this is a picture up top of these Indian hijiras, these actual men who do this.
Wow.
That's a picture of, below that, on the far left, is a Navajo shaman who looks like androgynous.
Yeah.
And then they contrasted that with a picture of an actual LGBT person today on the right, and you can't really tell what's going on. But it looks very similar. They say later in the 2nd and 3rd centuries of the Christian church, the Gnostics were credited by their adversaries with mystery celebrations involving carnal knowledge. That's what we're getting at, this carnal knowledge. The charge is credible because Christian Gnosticism was the attempt to Christianize pagan spirituality, even to the point of adopting some form of androgyny. Hippolytus reports that one particular Gnostic sect, the Nassenes or Essenes, who worshiped the serpent, Nas in Hebrew, of Genesis, attended the secret ceremonies of the mysteries of the Great Mother in order to understand the universal mystery. Universal mystery. We should have some other bells going off. Again, we have ecumenicism, the Catholic Church, which means the universal church, the universal mystery. Like modern syncretists, so syncretists take all religions and they combine all of them. They're all equal, they're all amazing, they all lead to God and power, the force of a greater being out there and everything. And they say they are encouraged to cross over into other religions. The Gnostics believed religious truth was one, to be found everywhere, and so they crossed over into pagan spirituality as a matter of religious principle. The most explicit testimony is from Irenaeus, who says, they prepare a bridal chamber and celebrate mysteries. A homosexual encounter is perhaps insinuated in the secret gospel of Mark, they say. At the very least, the gospel of Thomas appears to be an invitation to spiritual androgyny. All this would justify the judgment of Burckhardt that certain Gnostic sects seem to have practiced mystery initiations, imitating or rather outdoing the pagans. This is also where tantric yoga comes from.
Wow.
Shakti, who sleeps in the shape of a serpent, or Kundalini, at the base of his body is woken by certain yogic techniques. She moves by way of the chakras up to the top of the skull where Shiva dwells and unites with him. The yogin, through powerful techniques of sexual spiritual meditation, is thus transformed into a kind of androgyny. In Buddhism, also the true human, the archetype, is androgynous. These yogic practices and mystical teachings concerning androgyny are doubtless as old as the Mesopotamian and Syrian kinds. Now here's where it comes really full circle, people. Aleister Crowley practiced 3 to 4 forms of yoga daily to prepare for invocation and rituals with the demons.
That's insane.
Okay? There is good reason to believe that a form of ancient Gnosticism, namely Hermeticism, survived and influenced the medieval West through the mystical spirituality of alchemy. This variant Egyptian version of Gnosis, saw in Hermes the divine interpreter, whose secrets enable man to pass through various levels of reality, thus making esoteric mutations possible. The spiritual alchemist became an initiate, one who knows, as the ancient Gnostics knew. So now they want to be like the Anunnaki.
Yeah.
Okay, like Hermes, the Archangel Mercury's was understood as a kind of divine other who would intervene by creating the resolution of opposites. While no explicit sexual perversion is promoted, joining of the opposites or union was frequently imaged as hierogamos. Remember the Wiccan great rite.
Yeah.
A holy marriage, they call it, the fruit of which is called the philosopher's stone. You should be thinking Freemasonry, the philosopher's stone.
Yeah.
This fruit, they call it, is sometimes called the child of the work, which is presented as the Hermetic androgyny under the rubric 2 in 1. At the very least, we have to reckon here with a spiritualized form of what Aletes calls ritual androgenization. So they're actually giving you the definition. Wow. This is when you actually do a sexual act.
Yeah.
Of not carrying, just any sexual act with anybody.
That's the pansexual. Mm-hmm. This is crazy. Like, this one slide has so much in it because
I know.
This is the world we're at. You look at these pagan, or you look at these pride parades, and like it said in the article, even though maybe these sexual acts aren't performed openly, it's like it's all the celebration of it. Mm-hmm. I mean, it's gotten so bad that when you go to these parades, you see men making a circle around young boys
Mm-hmm.
and throwing money at them as the young boy's shaking his butt. And they're saying this is a family friendly event,
Oh,
that this
yeah.
is all about love and all this stuff,
Mm-hmm.
and all this is going on. And that's what I'm getting at. When you have a church flying that flag, you know that the deception is so great that you're not even allowed to tell the truth.
Mm-hmm.
This video might get pulled down, might get censored by YouTube because you're sharing historical facts.
Mm-hmm.
That this is paganism and satanic.
Mm-hmm.
It's not just an alternate style. It's not just an alternate
No.
lifestyle of love. Like, we have to stop sugarcoating this because it's that dangerous. It's that demonic. And yet Christians still want to tiptoe around the subject and invite it into the church.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, when I took a picture of that church, I could not believe what I was seeing.
Mm-hmm.
And this is the day and age we're living in when a Christian church basically says, come bring your demons in.
Mm-hmm.
I agree that you should always have your doors open to anybody, a prostitute, an occultist. Have that church doors open for anyone, but do not fly a flag in saying that we approve of this lifestyle.
Right. You don't allow them to come do their rituals or bring their paraphernalia
Right.
or their altar with them or their attitude.
I can't go into the church and fire up a joint and drink a beer. They're going to kick you out, right?
Mm-mm.
So you have to leave that lifestyle outside when you come in.
Yeah. So I think it was interesting. I want to make a point of this real quick. You had mentioned, well, on several accounts, we've mentioned like the Catholic Church.
Mm.
And if you're not sure that lines up, you can always read 50 Years in the Church of Rome.
Okay.
It's a priest who came out of Catholicism who tells you what happened to him in the dormitories as a young priest. In short, he found that one night he was going to bed and a different man climbed in bed with him. And he shouted and screamed, "Get out of my bed!"
Mm.
And the priest that was like the head priest, maybe, I don't know, the father, the superior father that was like in charge of the dormitory came running and he goes, "Shame on you. How could you refuse such brotherly love from another?"
Oh, that's insane.
And he thought to himself, this is homosexual behavior. We don't do this. And truly, what love meant to them was that. This is love to them.
Yeah.
Not regular heterosexual love of God's deeper nature as well, where it's, you know, I will give my life for you, and he gave his life in salvation. It was all homosexual rituals, drinking, all of that stuff. None of the stuff that we, as Protestants, should be doing, advocating for.
And the saying that everyone wants to say now is love is love.
It's not true.
Anything goes.
Yeah.
If I love that dog or I love that little child, where do you draw a line when you agree with love is love? Because hey, if you're a man and you love a man, it's love. Well, what if you love someone that's underage or another species?
Yeah.
When you can identify as anything you want, they got kids literally. They have children in public schools peeing in litter boxes because if they refuse to recognize that this kid identifies as a cat, then you can be locked up. Yeah. We live in bizarro world where the mental people of the world rule, and if you don't turn from reality and accept
their reality,
the mental insanity,
yeah,
it's like the emperor's new clothes.
Right.
If you don't see the clothes on the naked man walking down the street, then you're not blessed enough to be able to see. You're not privileged enough to be able to see the clothes. And we live in a new type of the rich man's clothes, the emperor's new clothes, where if you don't recognize my son's a cat, you're the problem.
Yeah.
And you need to be locked up.
Anyway, yes. So we're going to talk more about this because as we come up to real occult stuff going on here, It says, in the same Illuminist tradition, Jacob Boehme, again, he's the occult writer, a great mystic, and he's called a great mystic and proto-theosophist, believed Adam was androgynous and the sexes appeared as a result of the fall.
Oh my goodness.
For this monistic mystic, the ideal human state was androgyny. According to a lady, Boehme delivered these notions not from the Kabbalah. All of a sudden, the Kabbalah is mentioned.
Yeah.
Interesting. But from alchemy, for he makes use of alchemical terms. One of his spiritual successors, Franz von Baader, postulated that the androgyny had existed at the beginning, meaning Adam, and would appear again at the end of time.
Yeah, well, here it is.
One notable inheritor of the esoteric movements of alchemy and hermeticism in the modern world is philosophy. I'm sorry, I said that terribly wrong. Theosophy. It is not without interest that Madame Blavatsky, founder of the
Theosophical Society, yeah.
Thank you. Towards the end of the 19th century, may well have had a dominatrix lesbian relationship with her successor, Annie Besant. Besant began public life as the wife of an Anglican minister, became a birth control propagandist, and then an occultist.
Wow.
Later, theosophists such as Aleister Crowley, promoter of the occultist Pagan Hermetic Order of the Golden Dawn, as well as Charles Leadbeater, whom Blavatsky called her bishop, were noted homosexual preterists or pedophiles.
Wow.
I had to look that word up because they didn't give that. Yeah. I put that there.
They had to sugarcoat it.
There is good reason to think that such activity was not the expression of personal weakness, but the consistent expression of pagan spirituality. Victor Newberg, homosexual sex magic, he did this. He was the guy who, it says right there, is Led Zeppelin's singer, or I'm sorry, he's not that guy. He basically owned this house.
Oh, yeah.
Where all the sex magic happened. It's called the Boleskine House, which was later bought by Aleister because of all the memorabilia in it. Led Zeppelin singer Jimmy Page was interested in it, and Aleister created the top-selling Thoth tarot cards. Remember we talked about him?
Thoth, yeah.
He put the K in magic for sex magic. That's what the K means.
Yep.
And influenced Gerald Gardner heavily. He's the father of witchcraft and the founder of Wiccan religion. Wow. So this all comes to come together because it's all about the sexuality of people. For Meter Mule, a businessman who became involved in spiritualism, founded the Goatspund Tantra, that's the important word there, home of Jacob Boehme. Members wore the god's eye badge and believed that homosexuals were vocationally mediums. They also, with a certain logical consistency, held that heterosexual intercourse impaired the mediumistic talent.
Oh my goodness.
This small detail of Germanic occult history is significant, since leading contemporary homosexuals make the same claims.
Interesting.
Without any apparent dependence on the theories of Mule, such parallel thinking would suggest an organic connection between homosexuality and shamanistic religious activity.
So what they're saying is, if you want to be a medium, if you want to be a shaman, if you want to be a witch,
one with the universe, all that stuff.
Yeah, if you have heterosexual sex, you're actually really hindering your abilities.
Yes.
Which is why I mean, it verifies what I've noticed and recognized for a long time, that homosexuality and witchcraft go hand in hand.
Yes.
And when we would speak out against witchcraft in movies and cartoons and things like that, we would get flooded with different people saying, be gay, do witchcraft, be gay, do witchcraft.
Yeah.
So there's a whole lot of people out there that realize that this is a lifestyle that goes hand in hand. You go to the satanic festivals, you're going to see a lot of homosexual stuff there. You're going to see a lot of gay flags and stuff. You go to the gay parades, you're going to see a lot of satanic stuff.
Yep.
Horns and making fun of Jesus and all these things.
And the Wiccans
it goes
will
hand
be
in
there.
hand.
Yeah.
Yeah, the witches will be there.
So yes, this is bringing it closer and closer. I hope the dots are connecting, the bells are going off. But I just realized something that I didn't mention. So Victor Newberg was actually Aleister Crowley's assistant
Okay.
at this bull skin house where they did the sex magic.
Yeah.
And before that, we read that Aleister Crowley was doing 3 to 4 types of yoga each morning to connect with the demons
Right.
before doing the sex magic. He was hoping to take like a whole year to learn how to do sex magic to connect with the demons really well.
Right.
To another level of enlightenment, basically. When he came across Victor, they were in the middle of doing a lot of other rituals that were sexual and crappy. And all of a sudden, apparently, it's written in his diary, you can read about it, whatever. But he pulls Victor in and starts doing the homosexual acts on him, and it actually sped up everything like 10 steps.
Wow.
So no longer do you have to do this, and this. Just participate in the homosexual act, and you're already there with the demon communing.
Wow.
And it unfortunately did. Victor was the same age, but they started learning that the younger the child is, the better for that as well.
The results that they would get.
Yeah.
Wow.
So.
That's because you're pleasing Satan.
Yeah.
You want to get, and that's why you find out that all these things, these elite parties where they're literally eating feces, they are
eating cake in the shape of humans,
which
might have blood in it or something.
Yeah, and wearing masks and just having sex with anybody.
Mm-hmm.
The more debaucherous it is, the more
that's right.
The more lawlessness it is. You know, God says this comes out of you for a reason. It's waste. Don't consume it. But the more you do things that go against God's perfect design, the happier you make Satan. And the more he's like, I will bless you if you sin in the most disgusting ways, I'll bless you. Where God says, look, if you do it my way, you will be blessed. Because my way is the only way.
Right.
It's not like I'm going to give you a blessing because you're doing the right thing. It's just when you do the right thing, you are blessed because that's the natural outcome. But Satan is rewarding people for sinning, for creating new ways to sin. The Bible talks about, I don't remember if it was Sodom and Gomorrah or Babel or what, but they were inventing new ways to sin.
Yeah. So I hate to say it, but it's going to go a little deeper. And I have it right there. It's the small text in white block. In the white block, it says, because we have to understand this. We have to understand that it's not just a sexual act. It's the hierogamos. It's the marrying of the two, the holy act. We want to actually know why the whole alchemy part at this, because this is
alchemy
important.
Is chemical magic. It's science and sorcery together.
Right. Thank you for describing that. In some alchemical illustrations, especially coming from Aleister Crowley's book, that's why I have it shown there, the androgyny is labeled rebus or resbina. I mentioned that before, which meant two thing or double thing. It is also called hermaphrodite or androgyny of the wise, which is conceived from the coupling of the male, which is sulfur, and the female mercury elements. These two opposite yet complementary elements went into the mercurial bath and produced the male and female in a single body, they say.
Wow.
So here's where we kind of get this whole, I don't know, reptilian looking idea. So a shaman is a charged, potent, awe-inspiring, and even fear-inspiring person who takes true risks by crossing over into other worlds. A fuller definition leaves little to the imagination. The power and the effectiveness of shamans, witches, sybils, druids emerges from the ability to communicate with the non-human, extraterrestrial, and subterranean forces and the spirit world of the dead.
This is happening today, by the way. Like, there's so many people that believe in aliens, communicate with supposed aliens. We are like this. We're living in the last days. Is all I can say.
This woman, Virginia Mollencott, calling herself an evangelical lesbian feminist,
oh my goodness,
speaks for gays and lesbians when she says, "We are God's ambassadors.
Wow.
Indeed, she claims she was told by her guardian angel, a spirit guide, the Holy Spirit, or Jesus, she's not sure.
Of course, it didn't come out of the Word of God. It came from an angel.
Right. A great shift is occurring in the world, and you are a part of that shift. For Rosemary Radford Ruther, a leading Christian feminist theologian, androgyny is her model for a human species liberated from dualistic gender into psychic wholeness.
Oh, my.
Similarly, Judy Westerdorf, a United Methodist clergywoman, now we have a church woman in leadership, triumphantly declares to the delegates of the Pagano-Christian Feminist Reimagining Conference in Minneapolis that the church has always been blessed by gays and lesbians, witches, and shamans.
Wow.
So she's actually putting it in terms of what it is.
Yeah.
Gays, warlocks or shamans,
Yeah.
lesbians, witches.
Yeah.
No doubt, without much awareness of these elitist theories and the deep spiritual stakes involved, the media has shaped the sexual fantasy world of America's youth. This is what they're really getting at.
Yeah.
So, let's continue. Here's, I guess, where it all comes to the Catholic Church and a lot of things. In the ancient...
Well, this looks like the coexist.
It is. There you go.
Because the Catholic Church...
They're only one form of this.
They hold these meetings where all the leaders of the world, different religions, come together, and we should all just get along, and we can, we all serve the same God, we all serve love, and all this. So yeah, go ahead.
Okay. In the ancient Gnostic texts, such connections can be detected. The Catholic Church Father Hippolytus documents how and why the spiritual Gnostics did not hesitate to imitate pagan spirituality and sexuality in one form or another. He explains the Gnostic Nicene participation in the cult of the goddess. Because they claimed that everything is spiritual, the Nicenes did not become Galli physically, but rather spiritually. So they wanted to worship the goddess, but they didn't want to castrate themselves. Okay. They only perform the functions of those who are castrated by abstaining from sexual intercourse. Okay. So, concludes Hippolytus, the Nicene Gnostics imitate the Galli, the castrated priests of Cybele, for they urge most severely and carefully that one should abstain, as those men, the Galli, do, from intercourse with women. Their behavior otherwise is like that of the castrated. The mythological story of a castration of Attis thus led the Nicenes to conclude that the image of emasculation was a symbol of salvation. Attis cut off his testicles in order to break with the baser and material world and gain access to immortal life, where there is no longer either male or female.
Oh my.
These Christian Gnostics sought, through a deeper form of spiritual androgyny, a close association with paganism's understanding of salvation. Of what does such salvation consist? The Gnostic gospel of truth enunciates the theory. It is within unity that each one will attain himself. Within knowledge, he will purify himself from multiplicity into unity. The Gospel of Thomas, they say, develops the practical consequences. Simon Peter said to them, "Let Mary go away from us, for women are not worthy of life." Jesus said, they say that.
Yeah.
"Lo, I shall lead her, so that I may make her a male, that she too may become a living spirit, resembling you males. For every woman who makes herself a male will enter the kingdom of heaven."
So the males have to cut off their testicles, but the females have to become male.
Yeah. Here, apparently, is the road of salvation, the mystical attainment of an androgynous or sexless state. This professor perceives in the alchemist's quest for gold again a blueprint for the planet's future. Halligan notes that the second of the 7 stages of alchemistal meditation, called solutio, involves both a transformation of sexual energy and the destruction of the individual's ego or self. This is a powerful mystical experience of pure monistic spirituality. For this Roman Catholic scholar, monism seems to present no problem. But the process is far from over. The 7th stage, conjunctio or joining, is a new reality, the final bringing together of all the opposites, producing gold. Spiritual gold, a tremendously deepened sense of the oneness of all. Unitive Consciousness is awareness of the essential oneness with the divine, they say. That is mystic consciousness. The unification of all the opposites within oneself. Halligan's final definition of the conjunctio is clear. Beyond gender differences now, the mystics of each Eastern and Western traditions describe the bliss of abiding love. As we can see from this mystical and alchemical background, some believe that Jesus was androgynous. Just an androgynous ascended master.
So Satan's plan for humanity is to make everyone non-binary and ultimately unable to reproduce, and the earth will depopulate, and he will promise those who are the elites of the world that they can have eternal life through technology, science, and all that. But really, he's just convinced the world to depopulate itself and do it for religious purposes. Like, we're doing this out of love and unity, and we are raising our consciousness. We're reaching Christ consciousness by becoming non-binary. We're becoming one with the universe, basically. We have to, because our genders are different, we need to become the same and unite and become universal and all this stuff. It's insane.
Yes. But there's more to this gold and this hierogamos and the ritual, unfortunately. So they talked about a lot of monism. We need to know what monism is. Does monism believe in God? It says, monism believes that all things in existence are part of the same unified oneness. Some monists call this God, believing that there is one God and that God is in all things. However, other monists call this unified oneness something else other than God, such as the universe, the source, nature, or other names. So it's anything. Just all roads lead to God.
Right. Everything's
Everything.
God.
It is the coexist. That's why I have it there.
Yep.
And this is the symbol. Just a circle with a dot in it is the monism symbol.
Yeah.
It looks similar. It's where we find this symbol for rebus, the androgyny. That's right there. That's the whole horned person.
Marilyn Manson used that on one of his albums. Now I know why.
Oh, okay.
Because when he came out with Mechanical Animals album, he had a bodysuit on that made him look like a woman, and it was weird. But yeah,
I see.
He was pushing the whole trans movement back then.
Yeah. So it says, moving from a metaphysical analysis to a more spiritual outlook, monism is the underlying worldview of those who hold a form of pantheism. Pantheism is a worldview that God, not necessarily Christian God, is the ultimate source of being, that all of reality is a manifestation of this God in all different forms and manifestations. Pantheism sees no real distinction between God and the universe. Plotinus, from that time period, the father of Neoplatonism or Platoism, was a popular pantheist. His brand of metaphysics taught that ultimate being resided in the one. From a series of necessary emanations out of the one comes the divine mind. The next level of emanation results in the world's soul or psyche, and finally the material world, cosmos. Another famous philosophical pantheist was a 7th century rationalist philosopher.
17th century.
Thank you. 17th century rationalist philosopher Baruch Spinoza. I don't know why he's mentioned exactly, but there's a reason why all of this is happening. They say this is why it matters so much. This is really what we're getting at. Mircea Eliade, both a remarkable researcher of the phenomenon of pagan spirituality, says, she explains the spiritual meaning of androgyny. Sorry, we're jumping around a little. As a symbolic restoration of chaos, the undifferentiated unity that preceded the creation. Yeah. The androgynous being thus sums up the very goal of the mystical monistic quest, whether ancient or modern. In mystical love and at death, one completely integrates the spirit world. All contraries are collapsed. The distinctions between the sexes are erased. The two emerge into an androgynous whole. In short, at the center, one knows oneself. is known and knows the nature of reality. Or again, according to a lady, androgyny is in many traditional religious functions is an archaic and universal formula for the expression of wholeness, the coexistence of the contraries or coincidentia oppositorum, symbolizing perfection and the ultimate being. The androgyny is thus the physical symbol of the pagan spiritual goal, which is the merging of two seemingly distinct entities, the self and God, and a mystical return to the state of Godhead prior to creation. The joining of the opposites is the dissolution of creational distinctions and thus the destruction of creation's hold upon human identity. Such joining brings a liberating recognition that the real self is uncreated. So you are God and you create yourself.
That's right. That's what they believe.
The solution of our angst, according to a feminist author, is healing through the sacred marriage. Again, this hierogamos. She said it right there, actually. Hierogamos. This is the marriage of the ego and the self, which gives birth to a divine child, the child of the work or the philosopher's stone. I want you to get used to these terms because they use them, and then you know what they're saying.
Right.
That's why I say them and have them in here so many times. A woman gives birth to herself as a divine androgynous being, autonomous and in a state of perfection in the unity of opposites. She is whole. Pleasure as prayer. So here we go. Sexual pleasure is prayer.
Oh my goodness.
A transcendent experience beyond the polarity of genders, and to give birth within oneself to a mental or spiritual androgyny. The goal is a merger at the point of orgasm, which transcends division and which, in an ecstatic feedback, returns and reinforces and then dissolves the essence of both sexes.
Man.
So here's where we need to understand also the origin and meaning of transubstantiation. Because they say it comes from the mystery of the Eucharist, from Osiris cakes, which then became known as Jesus wafers.
Yeah.
So the doctrine of transubstantiation came from not from the Last Supper, but actually from transubstantiation in pagan religions. In Egypt, priests would consecrate messed cakes, which were supposed to become the flesh of Osiris. The idea of transubstantiation was also characteristic of the religion of Mithra, whose sacraments of cakes and homoa drink closely parallels the Catholic Eucharist rites.
Oh.
It was a converted topic for many centuries before officially becoming an article of faith, which means it is essential to salvation according to the Roman Catholic Church. The ritual of eating a cornbread representing the body of Osiris and the drinking of beer or wine representative of Osiris conceptualization as the god who taught Egyptians to make barley and wine, in short, became rewritten into the story of the Last Supper and the eating and drinking of the body and blood of Jesus Christ and the concept of transubstantiation.
Isn't it interesting in light of the new Olympics thing? Because there's an argument whether it's a mockery of the Last Supper or if it's an ancient Greek painting. But there was something mentioned here. Oh, for one, this is why you're not really supposed to drink alcohol. I mean, the Catholic Church, they drink the wine, the fermented alcoholic wine, which is exact ritual here. And they supposedly turn the wafer into the literal flesh of Christ, which is cannibalism. And so it's openly and in your face that they are practicing this occult practice. Right. Whereas the true communion is bread and juice, like Jesus did with his disciples. Something else that was mentioned in here, it says, what did it say? Man, I can't remember what it was. There was a mention of something that I see in our world today, but I can't remember what it was. Something to do with... I lost it. Man, that was the second time that it got mentioned, though.
Oh.
It's okay. No, go ahead.
So we want to know it's not just fun to know where the term transubstantiation and practice of it came from.
I know what it was. The ego death.
Oh.
That is something that people are doing now more than ever with DMT and all that, ayahuasca and all this.
Yeah.
They say that when they have this trip, for one, they blast out of their body into the universe. They usually see deities, whether it be a blue-faced goddess woman or whatever. But when they come back, they're like forever changed. They say it's a life-changing experience, and they call it the ego death. And I saw that mentioned here and somewhere else.
Yes. So here's where it truly gets into transubstantiation is from Wicca. That's really where it's from. The Osiris was the goddess who was bringing witchcraft to the Egyptians and the cultures around it, because it says, I'll just read what it says. This is also interconnected with Wicca. How one may transfer the presence of a god or goddess or materialization of them to objects, if not their own bodies, to be used directly as a token of ritual participation for the gods or spirits to enter them. It also is mentioned as transubstantiation. I found this right on their website. In the case of Hieros Gamos, if you aren't the male and female taking on the form or role of priestess and high priest, all bystanders are said to participate mentally and symbolically, allowing the gods to enter you freely as you feel and take part through the ritual by mentally placing yourself in the place of the participant.
Wow.
Some may also carry this out by themselves through masturbation or with a friend. No gender boundaries are kept, and not only biological males can play the male part or vice versa. Food items such as wafers, bread, or cakes historically and biblically are used to transubstantiate the gods in the body, to possess it through partaking of it after calling the god into it.
That's exactly what the Catholic Church does.
Yes. Some Wiccan rituals include the sharing of cakes and ale, symbolizing the union of the god and goddess, or the balance of masculine and feminine energies. Cakes and ale are often served at celebratory rituals and shared among attendees. Today, most cakes served as celebrations are often cookies in the shape of crescent moons or fun shapes like brooms, I think.
Yeah.
So the crescent moon is supposed to symbolize fertility rites, and usually a feminine part of alchemy and in goddesses. Just a fun fact there. Ale isn't necessarily an alcoholic drink always. It can often be a fruit juice or non-alcoholic cider or even water. Fun fact, long ago water was once referenced as Adam's ale to them.
Wow.
As it was the only drink available to Adam in the Garden of Eden. This comes from a Wiccan source. Roberto Caloso's discussion of hierogamy and sacrifice in the marriage of Cadmus and Harmony may provide insight into the continuing thread of experience from the Greek model of the Wiccan practice. The appearance of the world came about with the copulation, here we go, of a god with that which was not God, with the laceration and dispersal of God's body. Through sex, life, and in life, the necessity to kill and eat and experience loss and pain, life constantly is guilty of causing death, a guilt that must be expiated. Hierogamy is akin to sacrifice, offering up, although temporarily, one's body and spirit as a gift to the gods for their use. The parallels between blood and sexual fluids, the equation and connection of life and death, sex and death, eating and sex, all layer underneath the experience of hierogamy. The fact that humans and gods copulated at the beginning of everything creates a connection between humanity and the divine, a kinship. So again, this is what they believe.
Yeah.
We share lust, sexual passion. We can remind ourselves of our fundamental relationship in each sexual act. With orgasm, we can project our consciousness back to the primal moment of creation.
That's insane.
But this journey back to the beginning is dangerous and threatens to erase the boundaries between human and divine permanently, to collapse the universe back into primal disorder. So we sacrifice, which reminds both parties of the absolute distinctions of life and death between gods and humans. Sacrifice, however, seen as an aspect of sex, tying life and death together, much as the great story of the maiden goddess of spring Persephone in her hierogamos with the god of death, the underworld, Pluton, or Hades, brings sex and death together. Sexual fluids like emerita and semen being produced and sacrificed from the body, and like blood being tied to life itself, are perfect for this purpose. Waldo Emerson, here we're coming a little closer to every day things. He wrote that they wrote about him, this sacred marriage expresses what occurs, in particular, on the moral plane. The pagan monist assumes guiltless responsibility for his actions, whether good or evil, and thus, in an exercise of personal autonomous power, joins the opposites of good and evil. The early American monist Ralph Waldo Emerson, he was a writer, by the way, if you didn't know, a famous writer, welcomed this spiritual option with enthusiasm. He says, "If I am the devil's child, I will live then from the devil. No law can be sacred to me but that of my nature. Good and bad are but names very readily transferable to this or that. The deliberate act of power which defiantly declares evil good and good evil lies in the face of the Creator's designs, and in so doing jumps into the waiting arms of the tempter. One may well wonder if this joining of the opposites is a possible implication of the serpent's words, knowing good and evil."
Yep. I was just thinking of that verse about they would call evil good and good evil.
Mm-hmm. So now we have all these personality types that this psychoanalyst or psychologist C.J. Jung came up with. He says, under the influence of Philemon, a familiar spirit, he has a diary where he says that he wrote his famous 7 Sermons to the Dead. Using colorful imagery, Jung disavows Christianity and endorses pagan spirituality, employing the pseudonym of Balisades, a famous 2nd century Gnostic heretic. Jung addresses the spirits of dead crusaders who had failed to find salvation in Jerusalem. He succeeds in converting them to the Gnostic god Abraxas, who is both good and evil, a terrible hidden god that humans cannot perceive. Abraxas is behind the sun and night, the creator of and destroyer of the world, truth and evil, light and darkness, the hermaphrodite of the earliest beginning, the operation of all the gods and devils, and is the world, its becoming and passing. Jung ends his sermon with a call to look at the God within rather than the Christian God of the Bible. In this regard, it is appropriate to recall the definition of the mystical goal believed to be in all religions, given by Yale professor Louise Dupree, a state in which all distinctions disappear.
Wow, all distinctions.
Yes.
That's what they want, just fluidity.
So this is him.
Carl
Jung, whatever. On the second plane, this homosexual androgyny, according to Jung, affirms his power by willingly assuming his physical proclivities and thus joining what God has put asunder.
Wow.
Indeed, for Jung, spiritual androgyny symbolizes the integration of the opposites or the state of individuation of the autonomous individual. Jung himself suggested that homosexuality preserved an archetype of the androgynous original person. That is why homosexuals can propose themselves to society as shamans. What? In the monistic tradition, the same religious claim is made for homosexuality as is made for androgyny. Since both androgyny and homosexuality function religiously in traditional paganism, they are clearly related. The same emphasis is found in Karl Heinrichs, often considered the grandfather of the modern gay rights movement, in his claims. Ulrichs rejected all psychological and behavioral explanations of homosexuality and adopted a psycho-spiritual one. He believed a homosexual was a man's body inhabited by a woman's soul, or vice versa for a lesbian. Notice the spiritual terminology. He called homosexuality a third sex. That is a true expression of androgyny.
Which is like the ultimate goal of these pagans and occultists.
Yeah. So we already read this part actually from the queer magicians and stuff, and saying that they have a special power of medicine and magic, and this is an important part right here, actually, at the very bottom. The separation between humans, animals, and plants have been eliminated, and at that point, full-blown monistic union ensues. Blending is another way of speaking of spiritual union with the all.
They don't want a distinction even between animals.
Right.
That's where all this furry junk comes in.
Yeah. So here's where a video comes in.
Okay.
Okay. Uh-oh, we have...
We don't have sound on the video. I remember that was an issue before.
Really?
So, yeah. You want to just explain it?
Okay. So he's talking about Michael Jackson and how Michael Jackson really wowed us. He took our hearts. He made our emotions soar through his music. He was amazing at his dance. We truly, truly became carried away by him. If you liked him, I don't know if you do, but he kind of took over the whole world.
Yeah.
With his amazing stuff. And he's speaking in a church, and how many people are a fan of Michael Jackson's music and his dancing and everything. And it says, he's talking about how much we actually defend Michael Jackson, his music and everything, his lyrics, all this stuff. And when it really comes down to it, I'm jumping way ahead, but this is kind of awesome because he actually finds out Michael Jackson was emulating Corybantes, one of the types of androgynous priests.
Oh, wow.
Of a certain culture.
Yeah.
Remember when I mentioned that they dance and they have shrieks while they dance?
Yep.
Yes. He was one of those. And they had pale skin and long hair.
And he purposely did that to himself. You look at old pictures of Michael back when the Jackson 5, he was black skin, wide nose, afro. I mean, he was like your typical African American.
Yeah.
But he did all that to look like one of these, whatever. What is it?
Corybantes.
Yeah.
So there you go. You have it there. This is the cool part. When he jumps to this, you can actually see, eventually he gives you a definition. And that definition is amazing because it shows the white skin, the curly hair cut that way, the kind of dancing, and ripping clothes off and everything. Like, it was just, they used to dance
your
almost.
Genitals and stuff, right?
Yeah, there we go. Worshippers of the goddess Cybele. They had their hair dressed and waved like women. They were heavily made up, their faces resembling whitewashed walls. They were castrated and keepers of children and infants. Partaking in coming-of-age rituals and celebrations, they also practiced magic and divination to make money. They made wild cries or high-pitched shrills while they performed their dances to the music of the pipes and the dull beat of the tambourine. When the deity entered into them, they were possessed by divine power. They would dance uncontrollably.
Wow, that is insane. And that's literally what he did. You know from experience as a hip-hop dancer in the past that the music would take over you and you would dance. You'd be possessed by the music, basically. And so that was crazy. Everything was a perfect match to Michael Jackson. Even the keeper of children. Yeah. He had his house turned into a theme park called Never Never Land, where you're never supposed to grow up. Yeah. And he had kids spend the night at his house and play on the theme park and everything. Yeah, it's really crazy. The high-pitched shrills and everything.
So here's where, man, it really comes down to it. These are other people, again, stating from their claims of being gay that they share the sentiments of a radical feminist theologian who says, religious impulses are being killed by traditional Judeo-Christianity. Her name is Clark, and she seems to be saying that the problem lies not with mean-spirited or hateful Christians failing to be true loving Christians, failing to be true and loving Christians. For gays, the problem lies rather with the whole biblical worldview and theological paradigm.
Yeah, it has to.
We surely must conclude that sexual perversion, and in particular the elimination of sexual distinctions, is not an incidental footnote of pagan religious history, of mere passing interest, but represents one of its fundamental ideological commitments, that the pagan priesthood would be so identified across space and time with the blurring of sexual identity via homosexual androgyny indicates beyond a doubt the enormous priority paganism has given and continues to give to the undermining of God-ordained monogamous heterosexuality and the enthusiastic promotion of androgyny in its varied forms. So here again, we come across the alchemical symbols.
That was a powerful statement,
It
though. I
is.
mean, is
It
that
is
what was
huge.
that from a non-Christian source? Did that all come from alchemywebsite.com?
No,
Okay.
but it did come from a huge source that is. It's cited down below. I mean, I don't even.
I mean,
I
this
made this a
is
while
the most
ago.
powerful quote there is. It's saying that, it's not just a mere footnote, basically is what it said. Like when people are changing genders and saying they're non-binary and all these things, it's not just like, oh, who else used to do that in the past? No, it originated
Mm-hmm.
from paganism, the occult, from Satanism. He's the creator of confusion.
Mm-hmm.
He's the author of confusion. He's the one that wants to pervert everything God made, everything God designed, sexuality, male and female, heterosexuality, all this stuff, procreation.
Mm-hmm.
This lifestyle is not just something you can say, you know what, some people, they were like that, but they're not like that now.
Mm-hmm.
This is where it's a deception.
Yeah.
You've gotten involved in the occult without being aware of it.
Yeah.
That's what Satan does. He deceives, he traps, he snares. All these terms that the Bible says, resist the devil, he will flee from you. But when you embrace these things, you will be trapped and ensnared and deceived. And it's not something we can excuse.
Mm-hmm.
It's not something we can say, it's okay. It's love. Love is love. Let people love who they want to love. This is satanic, hands down.
Yeah. And so when we come across this in the alchemical symbols that I write there, if you see the male and female, which they claimed was Mercury as the female, and
I think it's men are from Mars, women are from Venus, right?
yeah, but it didn't work that way. In alchemy, it's sulfur and Mercury that cross and become the sun or gold. So it becomes planets and elements in alchemy.
Gotcha.
And it says it right there, actually. I should have just read that. But that's the symbol you become, is that dotted head horned being. And you also become in unison with spiritual monism. Like we said, it's all religions are the same.
Yeah.
Pantheism at the highest. So it says sulfur is the masculine principle, Mercury the female. Sulfur and Mercury are also equivalent to Sol and Luna, so that's sun and the moon. Sulfur being fiery and active, representing the sun, while Mercury being liquid and passive is the moon. Thus the idea arose that sulfur may be identified with gold or treated as the prime matter of Sol. All of a sudden, it's the prime matter of the sun, the solar gold making. That's what they call it.
Wow.
In Islamic theory, Mercury and sulfur are the parents of metals. According to this theory, Mercury is generally regarded as cold and moist, but the liquid component of metals, while sulfur is hot and dry, being the solid, being the solid material component. So here's some more quotes and things. We have all these people saying this. They basically had to have the funeral of God and the rebirth of gods and goddesses of ancient Greece and Rome. Why? Because they wanted...
happening like at these events. Every time they have a worldwide event, when all the eyes of the world are on it, whether it's the Euro Vision, what is it, the Euro Music Awards, or the... I can't even remember the names of these things, but we've done videos on them where they have these Olympic type events, Super Bowl and the Olympics and all these things. They openly do these rituals where they have bulls come out and they bow down to them and they hold up crystals, and they're openly doing it. They're desensitizing you to the satanic practices by making it look like entertainment, and the whole world is watching and applauding and approving, when the Bible says in Romans 1:32, it says not only those who do the acts of sin are worthy of death, but those who are entertained by it, who approve of those that do it. So if you say you're an ally, I've heard people say, I'm a gay ally. I'm not gay, but I'm an ally. You're just as guilty as being the sinner. If you say I'm not a witch, but I love Harry Potter, you're just as guilty when you entertain your mind with sin, Jesus said sin starts in the mind.
Mm-hmm.
To look upon a woman, to lust after her, is the same as committing adultery in your heart.
Right.
To be angry and hate your brother without a cause is the same as murder.
Mm-hmm.
And so we can't excuse these things. And this is why it's so important to talk about this topic, to get to the bottom of this, the root of this thing,
Mm-hmm.
because ignorance is causing people to fall for these deceptions.
Right.
Satan doesn't want us to know history. Satan, history repeats itself. And if you don't know history, you're doomed to repeat history.
Right.
And that's what's happening. But it's important for us to know so that we don't fall for these deceptions.
So I'm just going to get down to the red part here. It's a Roman Catholic scholar who writes, God does not have to die. He simply has to undergo a sex change.
Oh my.
Unfortunately, he also had to change religion and take up abode in the pagan pantheon. So, next part here, they are talking about Lenin's Imagine, full of hope for a new world order of unity and love, respect and democracy. We have brought across that bridge the agenda of the ideal, androgynous, sexually unfettered new men or new man of pagan spirituality. So they're looking for the new age to occur. That's what they're looking for. And they declare
The end of that says something.
I'll just read it. At the very moment when the New Age gurus declare the imminent arrival of the Age of Aquarius, the 18th century Theosophist Batter's prophecy seems to be appearing, the return of the original androgyny.
Wow. Yeah, they have been saying this for a while, since the 60s, that the Age of Aquarius is upon us.
Yeah. So you can look over this a little bit. We'll just get quick into this. These styles and fashion of actually looking androgynous has started way back when with those this particular actress. I don't know her name. I'm pretty young, so I don't know. And this particular model or prominent person in what was the bloomers, the first bloomers or pants that was worn, and then wearing just full suits. So we have that, and today we have plenty of this going on in Chanel and all the different kinds of people here.
Yeah, I remember when you didn't see women wearing pants, and it was like a big deal. And women started wearing pants and burning their bra and all this stuff. But now it's like, oh, men can't wear dresses? I'll show you. We're going to do it. It's just like the spirit of rebellion thing.
Yeah. So they mentioned in the second text box there that we can't look over Elvis Presley, who wore face makeup and effeminate guy kind of dress clothing.
Really? Like the sparkles?
Blingy, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, so they're actually saying that was more androgynous. Then you have Rolling Stone performances, Mick Jagger wearing a man's dress type of thing. You have Jimi Hendrix, his choice of wearing women's blouses and high heels.
Jimi Hendrix?
Yeah.
Interesting.
David Bowie, his alter ego Ziggy Stardust. The persona was introduced to the public when David launched his album. When asked to detail on the persona, he was embodying David, describing himself as a reflection of his sexual ambiguity. So, you do have, we're skipping down to the last one here. Basically, you've got a bunch of these models, actresses, famous stars who have their own clothing line now for androgynous looks or neutral, gender neutral looks, right?
Yeah, how many of these celebrities do you see that are like raising their kids?
Yeah.
Like boys wearing dresses and all that. This happens all the time.
It's true, yeah. And some of them, I'll just skip to the very bottom, is Lady Gaga, Ruby Rose, who's the model up in the far right, Lily Rose Depp, and Jaden Smith. They all have their own clothing lines that do this. It's supposedly strictly androgynous.
Yeah. This is like the New World Order fashion coming.
Yeah. And here's a cute LeBron James in his pink skirt. I think that's his name.
Yep.
And Zendaya in a suit. And here's a bunch of pictures. Why? Because I just wanted to show you. This is Twiggy on the far left on the top. Twiggy was one of the first models to be ideal. in all of her features.
Hmm.
And she all of a sudden has all these suits that she's dressed in. K-pop stars and everything. Jaden Smith in his as black skirt there.
Yeah.
So there's a few pictures where it's Lady Gaga. Actually, right there in the black and white picture.
With the smoke and the cigarette.
Yeah, that is Lady Gaga. And her persona, her
Oh my goodness.
alter ego, I forgot what his name is, but that's her. And you have, Brad Pitt on the bottom. Is this P. Diddy right there?
That's Kanye.
Kanye. Okay, in a skirt. LeBron James again in a maid's outfit. You have this famous, I don't know what his name is, but it's a famous model's husband. That's pictures of him. Both of them are him.
Oh, wow.
And then you got Kesha. All these people are up here because I found out that they are admitting to being one thing or another. Bisexual, transgender, pantheistic, you name it. Just gay, lesbian, whatever. And so I added them. And here's more pictures, just proof. Billie Eilish. What is his name that's right there? From Fast and Furious.
I'm not sure that one, but there's,
okay.
From Fast and Furious. This one?
Vin Diesel. There you go.
Vin Diesel, yeah.
You have Anne Hathaway right there. She looks like a man. Like she just straight up. And Pink has always looked very masculine. Yeah. That right there with her daughter is even wearing that. And her husband, of course. Demi Lovato has always gone back and forth with her gender. You have all these people. Megan Fox being bisexual.
It's like Jay-Z down there with a plaid skirt.
Yep. You got Fergie dressed in a suit on the very bottom left.
What's up with Snoop Dogg?
He says he's gay.
Oh my.
Yeah.
It doesn't really surprise me though.
Right.
I mean, just because everybody in the industry now, they are.
Right. But we got all these people. Miley Cyrus right there in her blue plaid shirt. I think that's what it is. Flannel shirt. And just all these people. So what does God have to say about this? Well, Proverbs 23 verse 7 says, "For as he thinketh in his heart, so is he." 1 Samuel 15:23, "For rebellion is as the sin of witchcraft, and stubbornness is as iniquity and idolatry. Because thou hast rejected the word of the Lord, he hath also rejected thee from being king." Revelation 12:9, "And the great dragon was cast out, that old serpent called the devil and Satan, which deceiveth the whole world. He was cast out into the earth, and his angels were cast out with him." So that's proof that they're manifesting or actually walking around possessing other people.
Yeah.
1 Corinthians 6, verse 9 through 11. "Know ye not that the unrighteous shall not inherit the kingdom of God? Be not deceived, neither fornicators, nor idolaters, nor adulterers, nor effeminate," okay?
Yeah, effeminate. "Nor
abusers of themselves with mankind, nor thieves, nor covetous, nor drunkards, nor revilers, nor extortioners shall inherit the kingdom of God." Basically, that's like everything in a nutshell that they're doing. "And such were some of you, but you are washed, but you are sanctified, but you are justified in the name of Jesus, Lord Jesus, and by the Spirit of our God." Revelation 21:8. "But the fearful and unbelieving and of the abominable, the murderers, the whoremongers, the sorcerers, and idolaters, and all liars shall have their part in the lake which burneth with fire and brimstone, which is the second death." Again, they're worshiping idols. These are gods you're worshiping.
Yeah.
They're doing all this sorcery. It's abominable stuff. They're murdering people, the sacrifices.
Yeah, the roots of becoming non-binary or whatever transgender is witchcraft. And so it's all covered. Effeminate, that's covered. Witchcraft, that's part of it. Sorcery, all this stuff. Liars. If you say you're a woman and you're a man, you're a liar.
Yeah.
And so I long for the day when we live in a perfect world where there's no murderers and liars and thieves and all these things. I want to live in a world like that.
Yeah.
And it amazes me, it breaks my heart that people would give up eternity just to wear a dress or to have sex with another man. This world has nothing to offer that's worth missing out on eternal life in a perfect world. I don't care how much you think you love that person.
Right.
It's not right. And it's not the way God designed it. And I would willingly be celibate if I had to have eternal life in God's kingdom, because there's nothing this world has to offer that can compare.
Right. So the last two verses here, and they caused their sons and their daughters to pass through the fire and used divination and enchantments and sold themselves to do evil in the sight of the Lord to provoke him to anger. Galatians 5:19-21. Now the works of the flesh are manifest, which are these: adultery, fornication, uncleanness, how do you say that? Lasciviousness, idolatry, witchcraft, hatred, variance, emulations, wrath, strife, seditions, heresies, envyings, murders, drunkenness, revelings, and such like, of the which I tell you before, as I have also told you in the past, that they which do such things shall not inherit the kingdom of God. Well, they're reveling like it's a party doing all this.
Yeah. Let's have a party. Let's get intoxicated. Drunkards will not inherit the kingdom of God. Let's get drunk, and we're gonna fornicate with every person there is. Now you're gonna have fornication in there. Let's say we're female when we're male. Now you're a liar. I mean, those verses are so clear, and it's not worth it. This lifestyle's not worth it. Don't even, as a Christian, try to justify it. We've seen now the roots of where this comes from. This is not acceptable. It's not just an alternative lifestyle. This is witchcraft. This is demonic worship.
Yeah.
And it's not going to be a part of God's kingdom in eternity.
So that's, like it actually means that if you want to have these supernatural powers, as they call them, but it's not, it's just being able to speak to demons or see into the supernatural demonic world and commune with them and stuff. They're saying it is a necessity to be homosexual or LGBTQ and do all these things.
Yeah.
With everything, animals and everything alike. That's the power you get in divination and all this stuff. And so that's the spiritual implication, is that you're getting those kinds of powers from Satan, probably money, lots of money too. And that's the kind of treasures he will give you, is worldly treasure. When you are blessed by God, it's not that.
Right.
It is all of his goodness. He gives you love. He gives you, I'm kind of drawing a blank, although I understand that God has lots for us.
And hope and eternal life. You cannot buy life. You can't.
Right.
It doesn't matter how much money you have.
Yeah.
And that's the thing. If you do all these debaucherous things, you might get some toys in life. But,
or millions of dollars.
Yeah. But your health is going to suffer. Your livelihood of life, everything.
You're under control as well, I might add. Like we said, these people are actually humiliated publicly. They have blackmail always coming at them if they don't do what the elites that are controlling them want. You know.
And the most of all, you miss out on eternal life.
Yeah.
So these God doesn't make you do debaucherous things to get that greatest gift. The greatest gift that anyone could ever have is eternal life. That's what every person wants. Every elitist person, whether they're doing it through adrenochrome or whatever, they are searching for immortality. And God's the only one that can give it. And he doesn't do it through disgusting rituals like eating feces and cutting your genitals off and all these things. He says, just give your life to me because I know what's best for you. I created it. Who better to go to than the Creator? Right. If I had a car or a computer and it wasn't working right and I had a chance to talk to the one who created it, that's the person I want to listen to. When they say gasoline goes in the gas tank, not oil, not water, I'm going to listen to that person because they made it and they know how it works. I had
just something that came to me real quick. And that's when you usually specify your gender. Of course, you actually, like on the symbol there, For
Yeah.
men, it's the arrow thing, right?
Right.
For women, it's the cross thing.
Mm-hmm.
When you are symbolizing that androgynous one with just a circle in the middle, you seriously are saying, I'm open to everything and anything. I'm just a big hole to fill.
Right. Yeah. That's so true. Yeah. I mean, symbols are very meaningful and powerful, and that seems exactly like what it is.
Mm-hmm. So sorry, but yeah, that's what I thought of just now. And you seriously are going to miss out on salvation just for all of this and power of this world.
Yeah. Was that the conclusion?
Yes, it is.
If you guys enjoyed this episode, please give it a thumbs up. It really helps this channel to grow. If you're new, please subscribe. We're going to come out with videos like this, and we're going to talk about maybe politics and culture and pop culture and the new age, all these different things. We want to find out what's going on in the world.
Mm-hmm.
What does the Bible say about what's happening in our life today? Sometimes people read the Bible and they're like, it doesn't seem relevant to me today. Wow, did we see relevance in what's happening in our world today with transgender? You know, who knew it was in the Bible? It was in history. It's all there. We want to search truth, and we want to do it with you. And we need you. We need your help. We need you to give us ideas. What is on your mind? What do you want to hear about? We want to search those things out and learn together. And if you're new, hit subscribe. Give a thumbs up, share this with your family and friends, especially if you know that people are struggling with this topic, whether they're in the lifestyle or supporting the lifestyle. Both are wrong, and help them to see why that it's not. This is what we want to do. We want to give the why. So oftentimes you're told, don't do this. Why? Because I said so. Or why? Because it's bad. We want to show you why. And I think there's plenty of evidence given here that this goes all the way back to the occult. And this is witchcraft and demonic satanic worship. If you would like to support this ministry, because we can't do it without you, we stepped out in faith to start this ministry on our own, and we know that God's going to provide. If you want to give to this ministry, you can do so by going to these different things. We have Cashapp, Venmo, and Zelle. If you reach out to us, we can give you PayPal or whatever. If you want to get a t-shirt that has our design on it, then you can do so with the link in the description. It takes you to our Teespring. You can represent, and it actually helps us too. And most of all, we need your prayers. And if you want us to come to your church, you can invite us by going to CandidTruthOrg and then click on the little link that says booking, and you'll see our calendar. You'll see that we have things lined up and that churches are inviting us. If you want us to come to your church and talk about what's wrong with Hollywood or where these pagan origins of all kinds of things happen in our life today, then you can book us to come to your church or any kind of event, actually. So we love you. We thank you. And we look forward to seeing you next time on Candid Truth. Take care, guys.